Yeah, I got your boomer tech right here.
Right, for Christ's sake, why?
Hey!
Why?
Why? Because we fucking can! Because we fucking can! And if we can, we do! And if we lift our heel off their necks now, they'll just come at us!
Live from Studio B. Yes, they couldn't kill me. They still tried to kill me again. They couldn't kill me. I still live. I'm here. And if they killed me, I would just come back and haunt all these trad cons anyway. So, I mean, it's really kind of an even wash. Anyways, live from Las Vegas, the wasteland, Lost Wages, Nevada. Not Nevada, Nevada. Today we're going to get into promiscuous women, which is a topic near and dear to my heart, as you probably already know. Promiscuous women. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, those guys are bad!
Tell me what you really think. Thank you. That's what I was waiting for. Yep. And here we go.
He showed me that my promiscuity was a sin against God, and I deserved hell. But Jesus paid for all my sin. And all I have to do is to repent and trust alone in Jesus. And I will be new. And that night, I gave my life to Jesus. And
He's not a Christian!
I threw out all the New Age books in my room. And my life changed. And I never went back into that life again. I've been saved since 2017.
We really need to do a compare and contrast between, I don't have the video here because I don't have Kyle today. I'm in my home studio, but we should really do a compare and contrast between this girl and Nala Fit.
And Jesus is only more and more real to me. And I'm a new creation. I felt grief over my sin, but I don't anymore because I am new.
Cue organ music.
That person who was promiscuous is dead. She's gone. And I am new in Christ. And that is why I have no shame anymore. Because God looks at me as clean and robed in Christ's righteousness.
Now, if Nala Ray had put it that way, I think I would have been more convinced.
Having sex with my husband, and now he's sleeping in a tent in our backyard. I'm embarrassed by what our neighbors might think. How can I talk some sense into him? Can we talk about the fact that the first response you have is that you're embarrassed about what the neighbors might think? I think your conversation should not be about talking sense into your husband. I think it should be talking to your husband. I'm not going to say anything about the unilateral decision that you made to stop having sex with your husband, because those are complicated decisions, and once you've decided not to have sex, it is your decision. But it seems like neither of you is talking to the other about how you feel. I don't know where the neighbors come into that.
He chose poorly.
I love my kids so much I gave them all their own daddy. You got a daddy, you got a daddy, you got a daddy. Don't ask me, ask your daddy.
FBI, open up!
Behaving in a misogynistic manner, and we haven't even noticed because it's so deeply embedded in our society, isn't it? So, for example, to interrupt or to cast doubt on what a woman is saying during a meeting, a discussion, or a public debate, a woman might be there clearly expressing her viewpoint, and then a male colleague, for instance, just cuts her off in the middle of her sentence. This kind of behavior is incredibly misogynistic.
Sometimes, to say exactly the very same thing, they just have to speak over you so that the final word is theirs, so that their voice is the one with the highest tone, right? You see, this is something that happens to us, but it also happens to Justice Carmen Lucia, who is a minister of the Supreme Federal Court.
Wrong.
And she mentioned in one of the sessions that she was constantly subjected to some kind of interruption.
Living in a misogynistic manner, and we haven't even noticed because
The one with the highest tone, right? You see, this is something that happens to us, but it also happens to Justice Carmen Lucia, who is a minister of the Supreme Federal Court. And she mentioned in one of the sessions that she was constantly subjected to some kind of interruption, some form of disruption during her speech.
you know, I don't know any woman who has never felt interrupted, never felt almost violated.
Wrong.
In a certain sense, because our communication, the way we express ourselves in the world is incredibly important. So
Wrong.
when a man comes and steals our voice, interrupts our speech,
Wrong.
it's an act of immense violence, and that truly is misogyny.
There's more, you know. The misogynistic behaviors are many.
Wrong.
By the way, this is actually, this is Brazil. This is the English translation of this, by the way. There is, I don't know if it's been passed, but there is legislation on the books that's going to make it a crime punishable for up to 5 years in prison. Am I wrong? Am I wrong about that?
Wrong.
If you interrupt, if you manterrupt a woman when she's in the middle of a sentence or something like that, even if she's, I don't know.
Wrong.
Percent of men my age, their best friend is their wife.
Really?
Yeah. And only 30% of their wives say their best friend is their husband.
Those numbers don't add up very well.
I know. I told my wife.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so very, very funny.
She's like, huh.
That's weird.
You don't say. So yeah, you know. And
does this guy like, okay, so if you ever thought, I don't even know who this dude is. This guy's a wannabe Scott Galloway, I think. I think he's trying to be like I don't know, maybe he's like the high pro glow version of whatever.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
that's sometimes, this is one of the reasons that men tend to die so quickly after.
Yeah, probably because your wife actually isn't your best friend, and she will be vocal about it.
Their wives die because they've lost their only friend.
That's their best friend.
They're alone.
Yeah, but she's not your best friend. Maybe that had something to do
They're
with
profoundly alone in the universe, and there's no more reason to live if you're truly alone. You're not supposed to be alone. People aren't supposed to be alone.
I feel like I just took a bath in battery acid.
Are brutal as fuck these days with rejecting people, I think is one thing that I don't really like. Sometimes a dude will in a bar literally just like go up and call a girl pretty, like no creepiness to it, no like overly like touchy or whatever.
Yeah. I'm starting to think that Clav might be the new Alpha Buddha, but sometimes he proves me wrong.
And like she'll start like screaming like just to embarrass the dude and like brutalize him.
What do you think causes that impulse?
Well, I mean, I think it's just that they feel disrespected that someone that lower in percentiles feels that they could somehow enter like a relationship with them. It's sensible to a degree.
Actually, he's halfway there. He's half right. I think what it is like, it's a guy thinking that he has a chance, right? Like it's offensive to women because I think women think that guys should know when they don't. They should, like, you're bothering them with your existence. You're breathing the same air that she is. And so therefore it's like, why are you talking to me? Like, you should know it's like the caste system in India, right? You're an untouchable. You realize that, right? You're not supposed to be talking to me. I'm a Brahmin class or whatever the hell it is, right?
How could you actually think that this approach would work out? But I don't really think that there's a reason for them to like just go out of the way to like be brutal.
So I mean, I get what he's saying. I think it's more, I know people say, well, that sounds like exactly what he's saying. I get that, but I think there's a little more nuance to it. I think what he's really kind of getting at here is more, I think there's a little bit more to it, right? I think it's more like you're inconveniencing me with you bringing your existence into my awareness. I think maybe that's a better way to put it.
Husband signed up for monogamy, not celibacy. And that's the truth a lot of wives don't want to look at. He chose you to be his one person for life. Emotionally, physically, all of it. But somewhere in the chaos of work, kids, stress, and routine, Intimacy becomes the first thing a wife drops. We keep saying we
Why do you think that is? Boy, have I been getting into it lately about this.
are too tired, too busy, not in the mood, or maybe later. And later turns into weeks or
Turns into, well, sleeping in a tent in the backyard, as we saw a moment ago.
months. Meanwhile, your husband is over there wondering why the woman he committed
And by over there wondering, he's literally in a tent in the backyard.
his whole life to barely touches him anymore. We want husbands to be patient, present, romantic, and emotionally available.
No, you want them to have a 8-inch dick, 6 feet tall. What? Let's go with 11%, 12% body fat. That's essentially that like I love how it's like whenever I see these, like when women are talking about like how unfair it is for women to like reserve and withhold sex from their husbands, and it's like, well, okay, yeah, from a sort of this practical, pragmatic kind of and maybe even moralistic way, but it's like, oh, we want them to be emotionally available and do all this freaking work. No, she just doesn't. I don't care how emotionally available a guy is if he's not hot, she's not going to want to have sex with him.
But we forget that men feel connected through touch.
No, we feel connected through your lips on our dicks.
And when he keeps reaching for you and keeps getting shut down, it sends a message to him you might not even mean.
Like, ladies, I just gotta point this out, like, because I've seen so many variations of this like coming up recently, and I think maybe it might be scripted. I know, because I keep seeing like re-scripted like AI about this same topic. Now, not to say that they all are, but I keep seeing this come back up. Now, ladies, and if you really cared about this, you would stop beating around the bush. You would stop de-emphasizing the visceral side of this thing. And it's basically sex. And if you go read Aaron Clary's latest book, that's all I can say.
That he's unwanted, that he's last, that being faithful means being lonely.
No, being faithful means he's just as sexless married as he was when he was single.
That's not marriage. And this isn't about pressure. It's
Hold on.
What is your major malfunction, numbnuts?
Okay, that was pretty good.
It's about partnership. Intimacy is part of what keeps
Partnership. There it is again. No, intimacy is not about partnership. Intimacy is about like you tearing your clothes off, wearing lingerie for him, doing whatever his fucking kink is. I don't care what it is.
a marriage alive.
Actually, it's finding out what that kink is first.
Don't reach for him. Initiate sometimes.
Sometimes, like you just live that. It's like, yeah, maybe.
Make him feel chosen again. He didn't marry you to feel invisible.
He married you because he thought it was going to be permanent sexual access because you were into it as much as he was.
He married you expecting connection with his wife.
No, he was married you expecting connection between his penis and your vagina. That's, basically it.
Not Andrew Tate is the example of true masculinity in his way. I watched the Manosphere documentary expecting to be angry at these, I was going to call them cunts, but they lack the depth and warmth. And
okay, so you guys, if you're in the Manosphere, you're not cunts, you just lack depth and warmth. But okay, please tell us how the fictional character Aragorn is actually the ideal masculine.
Honestly, I just ended up feeling sad because the people
No, you didn't.
who are enabling these shit stains, spreading misogyny and bigotry.
See, that's why I don't think you felt sad.
Are young men who are lost and directionless in a world which has very contrasting viewpoints on what it is to be a man.
Okay, well, here's the thing: is like there's never any concrete definition for that, man. I mean, like I keep seeing these over and over. A nice D20 in the back, by the way. I have my own laying around here somewhere, but bro.
And that's where the Andrew Tates of the world slid in with their skid marks to help fill that void.
Slid in, yes, because he just arrived about half an hour ago on the latest truck.
Spoken about the Mott and Bailey fallacy before, where they'll say something batshit crazy like,
"Oh God, I love this. I love the Mott and Bailey." What kills me is like most of these guys couldn't name another logical fallacy, or maybe a straw man, right? Or ad hom, right? But they couldn't name another straw man argument, like a logical fallacy or a debate fallacy to save their lives. But let's continue.
Depression isn't real, or women are property, and that's the Bailey, right? Like that's
okay. Rather than that being the Bailey, here's the thing: how do you think they came to that conclusion? Right. Instead of just like going with whatever the 45-second clip was. Oh, he said that they're, women are this way. Like, rather than do that, why wouldn't your first reflex? I mean, maybe it's just me, but like, why wouldn't your first reflex be like, I wonder how they came to that conclusion?
What gets the clicks. But then when you challenge them on it, they retreat to the mot. Oh, I'm just promoting discipline, or I'm helping young men improve.
No, they, for the most part, have a pretty well-reasoned, like, rationale, or like they did the work. They're just giving you the answer to the equation. You're asking them how they showed their work, but then you're presuming, if anything, you're the Mott and Bailey here, bro, because it's like you're looking at their answer, their quick hit, 45-second clip, which of course is what everybody does, including this video right here.
Something that we can all agree on, and that's the hook. And that's what I found throughout the whole documentary, were these nuggets of truth. But the problem...
Nuggets of truth. Great. Awesome. Well, at least we came that far. Now, can we like sort of back up and go, it's an algebra equation. Okay, here's the equation. Here's the initial problem. And here's the answer. You can find the answer at the back of any math book, right? But you still have to show the work. You don't want to go back and try to sort out the trigonometry equation.
The problem is they're wrapped in bullshit. They're wrapped in this like misogyny masquerading as masculinity.
Well, then it should be a breeze for you to go show the work and see how the work is incorrect. But you don't do that because it's you who's actually creating a Mott and Bailey out of trying to explain the Mott and Bailey.
Built off ego and money and using women as trophies. So lads defend the Mott, completely ignoring the Bailey. Now, personally, I think Aragon, son of Arathorn, is...
Oh, here we go. Now we're going to explain it. Son of Arathorn, in case you didn't know.
Is the perfect...
I read the Silmarillion too, yes.
Example of masculinity. But I might be biased because I watched the extended edition every year. If you relate to that, then maybe drop me a follow. Because Aragon trained for years to be the best he physically could be, to build his body, his skills, his strength, but not for himself. Not to pull birds or collect wives or whatever the fuck, or to get circle jerked by...
Where's the Mountain Dew?
You realize that, first off, Aragorn was, what was he, 87 years old in the movie? Well, it's by the second movie because he is a Numenor. Numenor were blessed with long life, right? That's number one. So is that the pinnacle of masculinity, is to find the fountain of youth or some shit? Bro, it's like... This is like as useful as like guys trying to explain to me like why Catholicism is a real religion and Jehovah's Witnesses aren't. It's like you're comparing fantasy versus fantasy, bro.
Other fragile egos, but to protect the people that he loves. He pairs his physical prowess with gentle care. Like, he is the first male protagonist I saw on screen who actively showed his emotions.
And was completely asexual throughout the whole thing. I mean, for Christ's sake, he was with what? Arwen? Yeah. Arwen Evenstar. Okay. She's an elf. Okay. Maybe that's a better one. Like maybe it would be better to like compare the women of Middle Earth. Like Arwen versus, what's the chick's name? The Rohan girl. God damn it. I know her name too. Somebody tell me. You guys will let me know.
And his vulnerability, and that it's okay to cry. And these are all masculine traits to me.
I'm pretty sure he didn't cry.
And yes, I fully appreciate that masculinity is not a binary choice between a sociopathic misogynist or a noble soldier.
No, but they both rely on the same conventional masculinity that sources those behaviors, dude. That's the problem.
This is just my own shit opinion. But I do...
based on fantasy, which I loved fantasy. Don't get me wrong. I love Lord of the Rings.
I do think it's important for young lads to know it's okay to be ambitious, to want success, to be strong, to build a great body or business or be a great father or husband. But
Yeah, those still require the same basis of masculinity.
You can have all of these things and lean into whatever you define as masculinity.
Okay, so now masculinity is subjective. Okay, great. So my version of masculinity and Andrew Tate's version of masculinity are equally as valid as Aragorn's archetypal. I'll do you the favor here. Are just as valid as that then, if that's the case, right? If it's all subjective, it's all we live it. This is basically the living your truth. Thank you, Oprah.
Without being a misogynistic prick that takes advantage and exploits young men and women to your financial gain, which is
financial gain. Pretty sure there no guys are like worried too much about women's finances. And I also want to point this out to you. I'll bring this up later, but it's like, bro, I just did my taxes. If you think I'm doing this for financial gain, you need to really kind of look at my quarterly.
It's just going to leave you rich and empty. I think that's what a lot of young men are missing, is having a role model that shows a man that people can rely on rather than a man they need protecting from.
Yeah, well, the problem with that is like the man that people can rely on also has some of the traits of the asshole that by default would have to have some of those traits. The very fact that this guy's getting confrontational about this whole thing and felt the need to go and do a 45, how long is this thing? 2 minutes and 30 seconds, 2 minutes and 32 seconds. That's pretty confrontational, bro. So the same impetus that prompted you to do this video is actually the same impetus. It's just directed. The guy's living his truth. Like, how dare you?
Men only care about your body count.
I am so sick of British chicks telling me what to do.
When they're bad in bed.
Wait, hold on. This is too good. I had to.
What are you going to do about it? I'll stop it tick.
I could have came out of her just as easily as Sadia.
Count when they're bad in bed.
Probably the most basic psyop used against the beta man is the attractive woman as men's coach. And yes, it's a psyop. In fact, everything you see in the mainstream media is a psyop.
Yes, you're right.
Literally everything. Nothing is allowed to have wide-scale views unless it's part of the approved social narrative.
Yeah, hold on, I gotta stop for a second. Do you notice in Middle Earth, there's no skanks in Middle Earth? I'm trying to like rack my brain and think of like, is there any female character, even like side character from Middle Earth? And I don't mean just like the Lord of the Rings. Like it could be in the Silmarillion, it could be in the Hobbit, it could be in Unfinished Tales, any of that, or God forbid, the Rings of Power. There's no disreputable like skanks in Middle Earth. I'm just throwing that out there.
Same rules apply for podcasts and social media. And though there's no set number of views or followers, no one is allowed to have too large of an audience unless they parrot the approved social narrative.
Thank you. For Christ's sake, somebody had to say it besides me.
To the point of the female men's coach. It's the easiest way to manipulate millions of men.
I was going to say, thank you for saying this. Actually, I'm going to let him finish the rest of this. It's too
organic about them or their accounts. They are fabricated from day one by the unseen hands that pull the strings in media. They're inorganically promoted, pushed into the algorithm of every guy who's ever lingered too long on a thirst trap account, because they know the same simp who wastes his time looking at boobs on social media will also be easily manipulated by even a mildly attractive woman.
FBI, open up!
And yes, the video itself is silly. Men instinctively know you can't turn a hoe into a housewife.
Can you turn a housewife into a hoe? That, my friend, is the real question.
That's why the social narrative continues to push back and say it's men being insecure or whatever.
I got to do more outside videos, I think. Don't you think? Welcome to my humble abode. If you're wondering why I'm doing it here, is because I just got done with surgery on Tuesday again. So yes, for all the people wondering, didn't Rolo get surgery? Yes, I did. One last time. And I am happy to say that I do not have an ileostomy bag anymore. And now I can talk about it because it's the past tense. Yeah, I have a new respect for people who have to live that way. Because I'm one of the lucky ones. I don't have to live that way. And what's interesting to me is when people started figuring out that I was like on the bag, they're like, "Oh, dude, I have one of those too. You're so lucky you get to have it, reversed." Yeah, like I mean, like to the point of tears. I'm glad that I was able to ditch the bag. Thank God. But that said, it still hurts like fuck, and I am on OxyContin right now. Just so full warning. Only 110 milligram tab, so just saying. But it's whenever you get like, I guess it would count as major surgery. But like, in case you guys didn't want to know, I'm fully transparent. I've been transparent since day one about my health conditions because I don't want anybody to be surprised. Like I think a lot of people like when Thor passed and when like Pat Campbell passed. And when Alan Roger Curry passed, I mean, for sure when Kevin Samuels passed, man, it was like people did like, I'm still sketchy about what happened to Kevin Samuels, to be honest with you. I know everybody said, oh, he had a heart condition. Oh, he drank too much Red Bull. Yeah, but he was there with like this escort from like in a freaking apartment that he didn't own. It was somebody else's apartment. There's a lot of sketchy shit. Like if you go and you like everybody just remember this was like 3 years ago on Mother's Day or like whatever that weekend was right before Sunday of Mother's Day. I remember because all y'all bitches were like dancing in the streets that he had just suddenly passed away. Man, don't think that I don't remember each and every one of you bitches that we're talking about. That it's like, guys were like upset. Like women were like, see, it was some fucked up shit, man. They're like, it's an early Mother's Day present for us. I'm like, damn, man, that is fucking harsh. I know you guys are gonna talk shit about me when I die too. Please, you know what? Have at it. Go right ahead. I know it's coming. I also wanted to point something else out too here. Now, since I'm on the topic here, I swear to God, I'll get back to the main. But was a guy who passed away he was the owner of OnlyFans. What's his name? Everybody he's a Jew. Okay, let's get it out of let's get it out in the open. Really. I just want to point something out here is when I watch this, and I watch stuff. Remember, I punch both ways in this. I comfort the afflicted and I afflict the comfortable. If you ever wonder if I have a mission statement, that's pretty much what it is. So I punch both ways. And let me tell you something. I was watching is that his name? Oscar Schindler? Schindler's List. Schindler? God, stop it. Leonid Radvinsky. If there was ever a Jewish name besides Jerry Seinfeld. I want to point out something here, though, is the same, like the conservatives who are dancing in the streets and want to throw parties and have a drinking party or want to, express their relief that this member of the tribe was, passed before his time, whatever. These are the same people who were shitting all over Destiny and the progressive left when Charlie Kirk got shot. And so let me adjust that. Murdered live on social media. And everybody jumped. Oh, I can't believe these guys. Show some human decency. A man died. It's the same shit. It just depends on whose team. It's all tribalism, man. It's all team spirit. That's what it comes down to. So the same people who are just jumping up and down going, yeah, man, now, what is it? Elon Musk. Elon Musk now wants to buy OnlyFans so he can close it down. No, you don't. Because it's not going to solve any. It's all Schadenfreude is what it is. It's all just like grifting off of like the
the misfortune, the bad fortune of other people. That's really what Schadenfreude is, right? It's like it's benefiting, profiting, laughing, ridicule, whatever, the misery and the misfortune of other people. And that's really what it boils down to. And you know what? The left does it, the right does it, everybody does it. Was it pretty fucked up that they did it about Charlie Kirk, especially since the guy was like, you know, popped in front of his kids, and like, I mean, it was not a good shit. I didn't want my wife to watch that clip, man. But there it is, right there. And sure as shit, what happened? I said, Destiny's going to talk shit. He's going to start laughing about it. And I was right. And then what happened after that? Then what? Piers Morgan. Hey, I think I'll have Destiny on. I'll give him some more oxygen. Great idea. Exactly what I said would happen, happened. So next time something happens, I mean, it's you kind of expect it from the left, right? If you're going to say if the right is going to say, well, we're better than the left, or we're above them, we're above all that, we're more evolved, we're magnanimous, right? Then like check yourself before you start popping off about stuff like this. Oh, it must have been karma. It must have been God. God got him back. Okay, fine, but just understand if you're going to make a big shit stink about all that, you're not any better than Destiny. Well, I didn't go to the same extreme as him. Yeah, but the sentiment's the same. And if that's the case, then don't get pissed off when, your next favorite guy gets, gunned down. I don't even know who that would be right now, to be honest with you. But yeah, anyways. So yeah, updates on my health condition. I am fine. I'm sure it's funny. Both the left and the right were probably like, oh, damn it. We couldn't get rid of Rollo. I guess we'll have to settle for that OnlyFans too. No, I'm good, but I might have to cut today's show a little bit short. So get your super chats in. I'm going to try to turn today in sort of a potpourri of misogyny, potpourri of topics that have been going around. I also want to, since we're speaking of right-wing conservative tradcon hypocrisy, I just want to point out that today's topic, don't worry, I'll get to you. I will answer give me a super chat. I promise I will answer it today. Today is the day you want to ask me shit, okay? Because I am like way low energy, and I will probably say shit that I wouldn't say on any other podcast. But the reason why I chose today's topic, which is this good brother right here, is because this has been making the rounds recently. And I think another example of really kind of screwball fuck off hypocrisy is kind of rearing its head once again. There was everybody's sort of pointing out the fact that this guy, what is his name? Not Michael Knowles. His name is Trevor, the guy who's in the shot there. His name is Trevor Schatz. Schatz. Sheatz. I'm sorry if I'm like butchering your name, my friend. So anyways, I'll just show you the tweet. It's easier just to show you the tweet. By the way, the StreamYard has just updated their interface, and I'm like trying to navigate my way around it. I usually don't have to do this too much because I have Kyle to help me out, but not today. I'm doing this from home, and it's not here yet, but there's a high probability that the Ned cam will be used by the end of the show today. So the guy's name is Trevor Schatz, and people were giving him a lot of grief because when was this? Oh, okay. It was March 23rd. So this is the day I went in for surgery at 10:41 a.m. This tweet got 35.6 million views. And it is that same shot of him in his wedding and everything else. And, it's probably better if I just show you this screen cap here. Doesn't Rollo realize everybody's done this already? Yeah, well, I do my shows on Sunday, so bear the fuck with me, okay? So this is the tweet. And where'd it go? No. Trevor Schatz. Okay, here we go. Gotcha. My wife was formerly promiscuous. I was a virgin. Okay, so that right there kind of sounds like really sort of self-evincing. Go look up the word evincing. That's your vocabulary word for the day, children. My wife was formerly promiscuous and I was a virgin. Okay. She was then a radically born again. Committed to church, evangelized constantly, Puritan books in her, well, there you go, man. Puritan books in her room, her bedroom, prayer journals, grief over past sexual sins, etc. We got to know each other well for over a year, dated for 4 months, engaged for 2.5, and didn't sin sexually with one another. Does that mean it was a possibility someone else? Our first kiss was with each other was at the altar on our wedding day, reaction pic attached, which of course is this pic right here. Okay. I'm going to show you some of the reactions and the replies to this because I will tell you right now, they are pretty juicy. We've been married for over 5 years now, and she's been the most wonderful and godly wife, mother to our 3 children. Damn it, 5 years. That's pretty good, bro. And homemaker you could imagine. She's more pure than most virgins. That's where you shot yourself in the foot. As biblical purity has less to do with past sins, though they certainly matter, and more to do with one's current posture of the heart and daily decisions to honor the Lord, Matthew 5:8. We're far too quick to forget that the story of the woman labeled as a known sinner, like a prostitute in Luke 7:36 through 50, was washing Jesus' feet with her tears while kissing them too. Did your wife do that? Did she wash her feet? God, do I have a story for you? The Pharisees were shocked that Jesus let a public sinner do this. Okay. Jesus responded with a parable about debts and forgiveness. Okay, we got that. Everyone seems to highlight the benefits of virginity, and it certainly is a blessing, but we forego to highlight the benefits of being forgiven as much as well. And he goes into some, I don't get any, yes, it's syrupy, it's saccharine. I get that. People say he's grifting because he has his own. I want to say he's got his own sort of side Christian husband and father too. Founder and owner of On the Mount Incorporated, which is, we help Christian ministries grow through social media 50% or more in 3 months. Dude, how fucking awesome would it be if I was like, bro, help me grow 50%. I have a real Christian ministry. So anyways, I was looking at this, and of course everybody's losing their mind about it. And with being understandable, I get it. Especially me included, because I have been very hypercritical of, well, let's see, Bonnie Blue. She decided she wanted to be a Christian and then got baptized and decided she didn't. And then there was Lily Phillips, who did the same thing. And then there was, of course, Nala Ray. And who's the other chick, the porn star chick? Old porn star chick. I can't remember her name. Jenna Jameson. Don't say Lisa Sparks, or I'm going to have to post those pictures again. It's like I did a full show on this. How come nobody watched that show? Where have you guys been? Just like a month ago, 6 weeks ago, I did a show called, I asked the question. I said, is OnlyFans Christianity pipeline, the pipeline to Christianity? I asked a question. I'm being facetious. Yes. But throw me a bone, man, especially Michael Knowles, who had a lot to say about this. And so did let's see, Jeremy Boring from Daily Wire, Michael Knowles from Daily Wire, and Ben Shapiro from Daily Wire. Yes, I know he's the little hat guy. Okay, Rolo. Yeah. Okay. Just let's get that. Okay. Children, go off to one side there. Okay. What is it? Andrew, what's the other guy? Andrew, the bald-headed guy from Daily Wire. Andrew something or other. Andrew Bald guy, old guy. He had something to say about it as well, right? And of course, they're saying stuff because, Andrew, or not Andrew, starts with a K. Clavin, Andrew Clavin. Ha, got you. Before everybody wanted to pile on because they see that it's the new hotness. And I'm going to tell you, for people who wanted to call out this guy as a grift, and most likely, I would presume Trevor Shiatz probably wants to, the guy does help Christian podcasters or social media guys to get 50% more subs or whatever the fuck it is that he does. Obviously, he probably had wanted to address that, or he wanted to talk about how his wife was a sinner, and now she's saved, right? Which seems to me a very popular narrative these days, particularly when I was just doing a show recently about Nala Ray and her husband, who has contradicted everything she's ever said about him. Remember when she did the podcast? And I'll go dig it up. I still have him in the folder. The video of her talking to that other podcast host that she does now, because now she's a podcaster as well, saying that she never would have married Jordan, her now husband, had he watched any of her former indiscretions, right? Her grifting, right? Her other grift, her OnlyFans. Well, it turns out that he has, and it's a daily struggle for him, and then he just prays it away every day or every time he thinks about it, right? Now, so apparently the messaging of how the power of the Lord can push all of those bad images out of your brain is more important than the lie that she told about how she never would have married the dude if he was the kind of guy that would be watching her porn. Well, apparently he has. Bullshit. Gotcha, liar. Wait, God, do I have that one? I think I do. Yeah.
Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah. Where was this righteous indignation, this moral crisis, like from Michael Knowles when all that went down? No, he reserved that and saved that for this guy and his wife now. It was all about purity. But of course, it's not because of anything other than the fact that they're evangelicals and not Catholic like he is, right? So that was what led to, oops, not that one. Hold on. That's what led to this video right here. This fucking guy, man, I tell you. Where did he go? Oh, did I do it on Ben Shapiro? Where did I put it in here? Let's see. So anyways, he did this full, he felt like the onus was upon him to do a full up video on, let's see, Michael Knowles. There we are. Here we go. So this is what Michael Knowles is going to tell us about how grace is a gift and forgiveness is a virtue, right? Well, at the same time telling you that it's all completely invalid for this guy because he does believe in the Pope, I guess.
Going viral right now on social media, and this is a Christian. I don't know if he's a pastor or if he's just a lay preacher type, but he's a professional Christian. I think his
like that professional Christian. Who's not a professional Christian? That's online. Anyway.
An evangelical Protestant. And here's the post that's going viral. It opens up, says, "My wife was formerly promiscuous. I was a virgin." Then he goes on to explain what a whore his wife was, I guess.
Interesting choice of words there, because I remember you getting really upset when people were calling Nala Ray exactly that same word.
But he says that's good. And anyway, we'll get to what that means. We'll get to why some people are objecting to it.
Because she's just not as hot. I mean, objectively speaking, like it's just because she's not as hot as Nala Ray. Nala Ray was a piece of ass. Still is kind of a piece of ass. Let's be honest.
First, though, I want to tell you about Preborn. Go to preborn.com/Knowles.
Oh, wait, hold on. We got to fill in do our pay the bills here. Let me get past the Preborn. Shit here. I wonder if Preborn is down with the message that this guy's popping off with, right?
Says this man, Trevor Sheets. I was a virgin. She was then radically born again, committed to church, evangelized constantly, Puritan books in her bedroom. So that's why I would say he's almost certainly an evangelical Protestant. I have a lot of Puritan ancestors, Some of those separatists came here on the Mayflower. I love my Puritan family, but Puritanism, not where it's at.
Who's Puritan? Is there actually a Puritan franchise that's still around? Didn't that shit like die off in like the 1700s or the 1800s? Maybe it did. Maybe it's still around. I don't know. But it's not as a big a deal as like enough for anybody would notice it right now, right?
A friend of mine, a priest friend of mine, once said that Thanksgiving is a bigger holiday in the UK than it is in America because it's when they got rid of all those Puritans and separatists. And they said, you guys are too weird. Get out of here. Anyway.
So this is an opportunity to shit on other people's religion then. Is that what I'm getting from? Yeah, I tell you what gets me is like, these guys don't want to have me or Mike Sartain or hell, well, Knowles probably would never talk to even James Sexton. Now, at least Matt Walsh will. I wonder what Matt Walsh has been like very notably silent on all of this. I mean, maybe he's done something. Maybe I'm just not aware of it. I mean, I kind of have been out of it for the last week, but like, is this just an opportunity for Knowles to like just like pop off about how great his religion is?
So, okay, that's this guy's perspective. He talks about his wife. He says, we got to know each other well for over a year, dated for 4 months, engaged for 2.5, and did not sin sexually with one another. Our first kiss with each other was at the altar on our wedding day, reaction pic attached. So he puts a picture of his poor wife. He's calling his wife a slut, and then he puts this picture of the wife on the...
I'm sorry, I read through this whole thing, and I don't see anywhere in this where he's used that word or whore or slut. I don't see that anywhere.
Post. We've been married for over 5 years now. She's been the most wonderful and godly wife, mother to our 3 children, and homemaker you could imagine. She's more pure than most virgins, as biblical purity has less to do with past sins and more to do with one's current posture of the...
I told you, this is where he's going to lose.
Heart. We're far too quick to forget the story of the woman labeled as a known sinner, which likely means a prostitute. Mm-hmm. The Pharisees were shocked that Jesus let a public sinner wash his feet with her own tears. Jesus responded with a parable about debts being forgiven. Okay, you get the point. You get how this could be.
I hate the fact that this guy's like making me defend this chick, because like in any other circumstance, I would just see this chick as just another version of Nala Ray. Right. And that's what gets me about this, is because I don't see the upside for this guy to put this post up. I mean, is he doing this to Trevor Sheets, right? Sheets, whatever. Is he doing this like as sort of like a marketing tool, or does he feel like he has to clear the air because he is in the business he's in and wants to make sure that everybody is like, he's above board with the whole, which I would have more respect for him for, quite honestly. But the only one who's been calling her a whore or a slut is everybody at the Daily Wire. And I'm wondering why they reserved those words for this guy and his wife, but they don't use it for Sarah Stock. And they were like conspicuously silent about Sarah Stock and Elijah Schaffer. They didn't want to have anything to do with that. They didn't touch that at all. I touched that. In fact, I'm still trying to get Elijah to come on my show, and he knows we're still bros. So it's like whenever he's ready. He wanted to come to Vegas and do it live. So if I can make that happen, I will. But in the meantime, it's like they wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. But they would have Nala Ray. They're all about Nala Ray being on the TPUSA Women's Ministry or Women's Empowerment Day last year. They were okay with that. Or they're okay with an Isabella Moody. Or they're okay with an Isabella DeLuca. Or they're okay with, like, I mean, fill in the blanks. They're okay with, it just blows. I mean, do they have to have a membership card or something like that? I'm just kind of like at a loss here, because I'm not defending the chick. I'm just saying, like, how is she different than Nala Ray, bro? You're the one that took her to Mount Olympus literally, that's what it looked like and you had her husband sitting right there the whole time while you're interviewing. Is like, why is it what she was doing any different than, like, why didn't you call her a whore? Why didn't you call her a slut? In fact, you got really pissed off when she went back on whatever podcast and said, yeah, I'm basically tooling these guys. She's the one who is actually the profiteer in all of this, because right afterwards she decided she was going to drop a Gumroad course or a Kajabi course about how to be a biblical woman. And she's only been Christian for half an hour. Right?
A nice thing. And yet it feels a little off, doesn't it? I mean, it goes on and on and on.
No, what feels a little off is you like jerking off to Nala Ray. That's what feels a little odd here, bro. And I am more than happy to have this discussion with you. Like, if you think, if I'm wrong, please, if I'm off base, I really want to, especially I want to know, because it seems to me this is like just sort of like pick and pull. Like if it fits your narrative, great. If it doesn't, then she's a whore and a slut.
It's talking about Christ's forgiveness. And so that's all really good. It's true. Purity ultimately has more to do with one's present state. You know,
he's like, look at, he's like, his look, you could tell he's looking over at the teleprompter.
Morality, virtue has more to do with one's present posture and orientation than it has to do with one's past sins. The devil wants to tell you that you're going to get bogged down in all your past sins. The devil whispers in your ear before you sin and says, that sin is no big deal, just do it, no one cares. And then the minute you sin, he says you can never be forgiven. That's the most enormous sin in the world. That's one of the ways in which he tricks you. So it's true. It's all about where you're walking. I think C.S. Lewis uses this metaphor that
See, the thing that gets me about this kind of shit is like, can we like stick to like what's here? Like I'm always going to struggle with this. I'm just letting you guys know this right now. It's like, can we just stick with like what we have to work with right here instead of like this metaphysical, like I've said this before. If you read I mentioned this, so I'm quoting my own work, by the way, sorry. But in my book, Religion, the 4th book in the Rational Male series, I said this. I said, you cannot prove a metaphysical argument with physical evidence, and you cannot prove a physical or a metaphysical argument with physical evidence. See what I'm saying? Did I get that backwards? You cannot prove a metaphysical argument with physical evidence, and you cannot prove a physical argument with metaphysical evidence. And that's what the guy's trying to do. It's like, it's basically who could beat up who, Tarzan or Superman? Who's a Green Lantern or Superman? And like, really, like, let's get down to it. Okay, we can. I mean, we can have the hypothetical, or it's like the whole thing with who's a better model of masculinity, Andrew Tate or Aragorn, son of Arathorn. The guy knew that it was a son of Arathorn, right? Clearly read the Silmarillion, if that's the case. Are we going to talk about the qualities of the great sword Naril or Narsil or whatever, like Reforged? Maybe we should get into that too while we're at it. It's ludicrous, right? But this is like this is the logic. It sounds like perfect, like mathematical logic to
this image that, you know, we're all kind of like toddlers. We're all kind of toddling around, and what matters is that we're toddling toward God. And we're going to fall, and we're going to wobble, but as long as we're oriented toward God, as long as our desire is turned toward God, and we're moving in that direction, that's what God really wants.
I'm sorry, but like that, I fucking hate that analogy. We're toddlers. We don't know. No. And then in the next breath, in the next podcast, the next time he criticizes the Manosphere, documentary or anything else, these guys aren't men. Like, okay, well, do you want toddlers for Christ? Do you want toddlers for God, or do you want men? We're also fucking men. What happened to mighty men of God? What happened to men of God? What happened to that? What happened to like having discernment? What happened to using quoting my book? My father, one of the few things my father actually said that I thought had some sort of like wisdom to it, like, well, this kind of wisdom to it, was my father told me one time, he says, just because you're a Christian doesn't excuse you from thinking. And that's like, I took that to heart back then, which I my dad didn't give me too much, but that was one thing he gave me, right? I got a lot of my religion. I got a lot of my sort of my imagination. And I got my sort of like my caring spirit from my mom. My mom was a ditz. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. I love my mom. Don't get me wrong. She had, who, by the way, passed away as a confirmed Catholic. She was a ditz, but she was a lovable ditz, right? She meant well. She was very particular, right? But my father, on the other hand, was a very critically minded skeptic, very rational male. My dad fucking had that down in spades, right? My dad had really good critical thinking skills. My dad was very highly intelligent, which of course made him sort of like blind to a lot of other things, right? But but most definitely was a certainly a empirical empiricism versus emotionalism. My dad was definitely the empirical side of things. But the thing is it doesn't excuse you from thinking, and that's why I hate that. I hate that line of thinking. Oh, we're all children of God. Yeah, but okay. Well, fine. Are we children of God? Or are we men of God? Can we just? If you're going to tell me if you're going to come to me and you're going to describe to me what you think is a biblical form of masculinity, and then enumerate all these ways that you need to be an indentured servant, and it's basically a slave. You want to tell me how it's a slave's religion, and you want to be a servant leader and all this other bullshit, and then you're going to tell me that actually we're toddlers. Like Michael Knowles is the last person you should be taking any kind of religious perspective from. Guy is a fucking idiot. The guy is I've likened him to Caesar Flickerman from the Hunger Games, right? Remember with the second one, Catching Fire? Yeah, Catching Fire. When he's the guy that does all the interviews. Like when he did the interview of Nala Ray and her husband, like on Mount Olympus, it's basically, it's capital in the Hunger Games, right? I mean, he's Caesar Flickerman. That's all it is. And here we have Caesar Flickerman on the opposite side of the response now. It's like, how do you have a different response for this chick than you did for Nala Ray? Well, it's because Nala Ray, like she swallowed, basically. I mean, what else is there?
That's what delights God. And if we're moving in the opposite direction, or we're despairing or giving up or whatever, that's a big problem. But
I got a better idea. How about we're men of God? Can we go there? And I'm the last person you should probably be taking, like, he's the last person, but I'm the second to the last person you should probably be taking any kind of religious like perspective from. I never went to the seminary, and I'll be the first one to tell you that. I'm not a biblical scholar or any other kind of scholar, but I did do a lot of research, and I did a lot of homework for a book that took me 3 years to write. And I do have, I think from that perspective, I know what I'm talking about. And I'll tell you right now, that was one of the things that rubbed me the wrong way when I was doing the research and I was doing all my homework and my interviews for that book.
All of that said, I agree with so many of the points he's making, and yet there's something wrong with this post, right?
What?
You shouldn't call your wife a whore on social.
He didn't, you dumb fuck.
Social media, I think.
You, Shapiro, Clavin, and Jeremy Boring are the only people who have said this. Maybe Boring did. I think Boring actually tried to hold him responsible.
Can we say that? Is that, I don't know. Am I? And I have noticed this.
Yeah, you are.
This is, sometimes Christians broadly do this kind of thing. They boast even. They broadly and loudly proclaim their previous sins.
You mean like Nala Ray to you on your show like 3 times, I think it was?
Sometimes they'll go into lurid detail. I do find this is...
What kills me is this. It's like, remember when I and this was like about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I came at Matt Walsh for talking shit about like, it was a slow news week or some shit like that. We was talking shit about like some divorce attorney said this and this. I'm like, you mean Jim Sexton, the guy that was on your show in March of 2024, that guy? Suddenly you had amnesia. And by the way, they never followed up on that. Like I called them out, like blatantly called them out. And everyone in their chat was doing the same thing once I'd done that show. Just swept it under the rug like it never fucking happened. This is the grift. This is the narrative. Remember what Graybeard was saying when I said when he was talking about how once you start saying stuff and if you're not part of that approved narrative, they don't recognize or acknowledge you or anything like that. They'll acknowledge Nala Ray, but they won't acknowledge this guy. Or they will, but only to the point where they want to put words in his mouth and say, oh, he's calling his wife a slut. They don't remember, like Matt Walsh didn't remember interviewing a very long interview. It's still up on his site. It was like 90 minutes long with Jim Sexton. That just went out of their brains or the production staff's brains. This guy, like Knowles, now suddenly all that sweet talking he did about Nala Ray, all that's out of his brain right now. Go fuck yourself, dude. You're this is why I'll never get on this. This is why you want to know why I'm never getting past the gatekeepers. It's because I call out bullshit.
More an evangelical Protestant thing than other flavors of Christianity.
Okay, so it's no true Scotsman, no real Christian would do this, right?
But
he's not a Christian.
We could get into specific reasons why that is, but
I know he's Catholic. Yeah. By the way,
It's a little weird. And here's why.
Why?
Christ forgives us.
Okay.
He comes not to condemn the world, but to save the world.
Which is exactly what I've said throughout, or really since my fourth book in religions. Like, one of the reasons why Christianity is such a draw to modern women today is because it's a mulligan, it's a do-over. It's literally the only religion that is based on like just sort of blanket forgiveness. Why wouldn't they? I don't want to be held accountable for anything that I've done. Oh, guess what? There's this great religion. It's called Christianity, and you get a do-over. I'm from a religious perspective. Awesome. Cool. But I do understand the draw.
God's grace is far greater than we can possibly imagine. We have the opportunity to cooperate with God's grace. We don't need to live constantly bogged down by shame of our past. We can move forward in the grace of Christ. All of that is true. All of that is true.
Look at all his notes. Because like he's got like those are like 5x7 cards, man. That's not even 3x5s, man.
And yet, we owe each something. We owe each other something.
How many cards he's got right there? He did a lot. He was putting a lot of thought into this.
Beyond just grace, we owe each other discretion.
You mean like Nala Ray would owe discretion to her husband? Right.
Don't need to talk about your past sins all the time.
Like Nala Ray at TPUSA on the women's leadership conference, June 21st, 2025. I hope, if memory serves. The same show Allie Beth Stuckey was on. That chick? Yeah, that one. Her.
Sometimes that can be powerful testimony, but sometimes it's a little awkward and weird.
Okay, so it wasn't awkward and weird when Nala was doing it and basically literally turning it into a grift, but it is weird when this guy is talking up his wife.
Sometimes it can be humiliating. Sometimes it can serve selfish purposes. I don't want to psychobabble this guy too much.
Too late.
But I do wonder if he is still a little bit troubled by this woman's past. That's the first or second line in there, right?
I wonder if you were wondering if Jordan Ray, did she take his last name? Can somebody find that out for me? Can you find out if Nala Ray took her husband's last name? I am fascinated to know whether that's the case or not. So you're using discernment here, but you didn't with Nala. Why would that be the case, bro?
I was a virgin on my wedding day and my wife was a slut, but now she's so much nicer. And now,
yeah, that's literally the same story that and we come to find out he was watching her porn anyways. That's literally the same story that Jordan and Nala Ray were relating to you. And that big backdrop that looked like Mount Olympus, that literally, like, did that just like exit your brain before you wrote all this stuff down on your cards?
Oh, it's so much. She's so wonderful. He's couching this condemnation of her past in a positive light, but look how wonderful she is now. And yet I do wonder if it still bothers him a little bit.
Did you wonder if it bothered Jordan a little bit?
We really shouldn't bring up each other's past sins to people. What's one of the worst things, one of the most poisonous things you can do in a marriage is say, well,
so bringing up the fact or trying to present the fact that your husband didn't watch your porn before you got married and then literally have the conversation with him and say, well, you've watched my porn and it's a daily struggle for you and you have to pray the imagery away. That's different somehow than this, right?
You remember 5 years ago when you said such and such and such? Yeah, I really hated that and I've never gotten over it. Me. And you did this and you.
Oh, thank you, Sammy. AI overview based on all available website information from 2025 to 2026. Nala Ray married Jordan Giordano and has referred to as Nala Giordano in some context related to her life after leaving the adult industry. She has emphasized her new faith-based life with her husband having left her previous career in 2024. So then why are we still calling her Nala Ray? Why is she billed as Nala Ray on the TPUSA Women's Leadership Summit for 2025 at TPUSA? Why is that the bill? Was it just, okay, well, Ray is a little easier. It rolls off the tongue a little easier than Giordano.
Did that. And you used to, I mean, that's like the death of a marriage, isn't it? And he's doing that.
Well, apparently it isn't for Nala Ray, bro.
And he's couching it in this really nice Christian language.
And Nala Ray didn't. Or she did it more effectively?
We owe each other a little bit of discretion.
Like wondering whether or not Nala Ray is actually converted because she decided that it was a better grift than OnlyFans, which is pretty much what myself and Andrew Wilson and everybody else has said since day one. Where was this discernment then, Michael? Where was this?
We owe each other a little bit of a gracious comportment, not just the grace to say, I forgive you and you can move forward, but also the grace to move on.
Okay, so we've moved on from Nala Ray?
To forget about it. If this guy's going to say, if he's trying to teach a lesson to people that they don't need to be bogged down in their sin forever, he might hide who he's talking about.
Did we have that same concern when, let's take it away from Nala Ray. Like, I mean, that's too obvious, obviously. Do we have that concern when Lily Phillips decided that she was going to get baptized, who, by the way, I think is still working in the industry, or Jenna Jameson, or I'm pretty sure Bonnie Blue has said it once or twice and she's just full of shit. Like, Bonnie Blue is just, I don't know where the fuck she comes from. Who else recently? Oh, well, Sarah Stock, right? Where was remember when she showed off the ring and she goes, I won. Somebody dig me up his response to that tweet. I won. How come you guys can't accept the fact that she's decided, and she's a Catholic too, right? She sat there and lied to the fucking Pope. Had him bless that wedding with her and I anybody know whether they're getting divorced or not? Her husband, she's a Catholic. You don't have the same discernment for Sarah Stock? Probably not, because another Christian podcasting chick who was very full of herself and very, like it says, what the Girls Gone Bible, remember her? I got plenty of her. In fact, I've got the next video we're going to look at is going to be Allie Beth Stuckey and all how she comports herself. I'm wondering if perhaps our theological betters at Daily Wire are going to respond to that one.
You might say, a good friend of mine, or someone I care about very much used to be like this, and now this person is like this.
Someone who's not me asking for a friend. That's what you want? Oh yeah, because. This guy's he's like a Muppet.
To say, hey, here's a picture of my wife. She was a big mega slut, but now she's not so much anymore.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, how that trip slipped my mind. Yeah. What about Lauren Southern wearing her wedding ring on Tim Pool 8-10 months after she was already divorced from her husband, Aaron something or other. Aaron McCready. I remember the name. Aaron McCready. What about that? Where's the condemnation for that? Where's the condemnation for Lauren Southern when when the Kiwi Farm leaks hit and we've discovered that she was actually fucking Destiny, as I suspected and as Andrew Wilson suspected and as we've now confirmed over and over and over again? Is that going to get asked? By the way, if you're going to give her or Destiny a platform these days, understand that you're probably a bigger part of the problem than they are at this point. Because I will tell you this, I think that like Destiny would probably fade away into nothingness. Certainly Lauren Southern would, if we would just stop giving them oxygen. But what is it about these guys, or these confirmed liars, criminals, sex pests, sex offenders, admitted sex offenders? When are you going to stop giving them airtime? Because I'll tell you right now, if you are at this point, I mean, I could forgive like once or twice. If you're giving them the 7th or 8th time to like come back on you're doing it for another reason other than the fact that you want some sort of like, I want some debate between the two. No, you don't. You want him on there because you know it's a draw. You're a grift. You're a grift at that point. I don't care whether you're TPUSA. I don't care if you're Soft White Underbelly. I don't care if you're whatever podcast. I don't care who. If you are giving these people oxygen, you are becoming, if not are already, a bigger problem than the individuals themselves.
Isn't it great? We owe each other a little bit of discretion. We owe each other a little bit of good comportment. And furthermore, this is an important lesson.
So I guess Nala Ray should have shut the fuck up and like because she owed her husband a little bit of discernment and comportment, right?
For Lent. Privately suffering, privately repenting can be a more difficult cross.
You didn't seem to have a problem with that when you interviewed Nala on Mount Olympus.
You know, in some ways, I think this temptation among certain types of Christians.
Superman can beat up Green Lantern.
To just constantly be talking about your past sin. I think it comes about as a kind of anxiety or neurosis.
Okay, well, we're going to leave it there because the rest of this is just him, like him and Han, and it's all about his thin-skinned indignation, and that is not my moral crisis. So he can go kindly fuck himself. That's reaction number 1 right there. Oops, there we go. That's me. Okay, so see, here's the thing is like I'm sure I'm going to see this in the comments. I'm sure I'm going to see this in the maybe even in the chat here in a little bit. But the thing is like, why does Rollo keep talking about this? How you guys bring it back? Like they're the ones that bring it back up. And the reason I talk about this stuff is because I'm the Manosphere. I am the red pill. I don't get away from that. So when you start talking shit about the Manosphere, or when you start talking shit and mischaracterizing it, and then I point stuff like this out, like, is HS Tiki Talkie calling this shit out? No. Is Sneeko calling this out? No. You know what Sneeko's saying? He's saying he never was part of the Manosphere, never part of the red pill to begin with. Which, yeah, that's par for the course, right? Jay Waller doesn't even, well, Jay Waller, by the way, has done an interview with Michael Knowles, in fact, right? Where's that right now, right? Or Myron Gaines. As far as I know, Myron Gaines isn't talking about this. Who is? Myself. Who else is? Who else is doing this kind of stuff? Who else is like, it's not me, trying to get, like, I'm not going to get any more people into my Reignite group by calling this stuff out. I'm just pointing out the obvious hypocrisy and the obvious bullshit grift that's going on here. And you want to tell me, or I got to listen to people, the critics of the Manosphere right now who think they know what the fuck they're talking about. And then I go on and call shit out like this. That's part of the Manosphere too. I wonder if they would agree with me. I wonder if Rob Henderson would agree with the fact that I think these guys are fucking snakes. Everybody at the Daily Wire has proven themselves over and over again to be just grifters and hucksters and just fucking shit-stained snakes, man. But I'm on this side of the gate, right? You guys can stay on that. Thank God. I will be glad to be on this side of the gate if that's what it takes, right? But that's the whole thing. It's like, you want to know why they got to shit all over the Manosphere? So they can cover their asses for stupid shit like this. That's why. And people go, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm so morally outraged. That Rollo, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, when is the red pill ever going to talk about religion? I swear, I never see these guys in good marriages. I never see these guys talking about the importance of Christianity or Judaism or Islam or insert the fucking religion, name the name. They never will. What do you got here? Let's run down from the beginning. John C. Smith. From the poet philosopher, I want you to want me. I need you to need me. Robin Zander. I need you to need me. I'd love you to love me. I'm begging you to beg me. Yeah, it's funny how that comes up. That's actually, it's fun. I always think about that when I'm talking about genuine desire. That's pretty much what it comes down to. What song, children? What? Actually, it's 70s, right? Late 70s, early 80s. Cheap trick. Thank you. I'll solve the problem for you. Off topic. Okay. King Rollo. King Rollo. Wait, do I have that? Yes, here.
The champ is here. The champ is here.
Okay, thank you for King Rollo. Do you think that it is the best way to deal with what? How do you think the best way is to deal with white knights? Debate them or ignore them? Call them out on their bullshit. So, I think I've pretty much demonstrated that here with Michael Knowles. Michael Knowles wants to be a white knight about this whole thing. Michael Knowles white knighted for Nala Ray. Why is he not white knighting for this girl? Well, this is different. How is this different? As far as I know, Nala Ray is not a confirmed Catholic, right? I mean, she was baptized conveniently, right? And I'm going to talk a little bit about the epiphany phase today because I want to get down to some nuts and bolts here because otherwise this just sounds like me just mouthing off about, once again, talking about stupid ass, trad cons, right? But we're talking about the epiphany phase right here is what we're talking about. How do you deal with white knights? Like, I think it kind of depends on what you're dealing with. One of the things I've always brought up, and maybe this was ill-advised, but like when I brought up like Mike Rashid being a blue pill alpha way back in the day, you have to remember that guys who are blue pill alphas make the worst white knights because they believe they're right. And usually they're white knighting the verb, whatever it is they're doing. That's why I need a clarification, right? I need to know like, what is the white knight guy doing? Obviously it's defending Milady's honor in some way, but there's lots of different ways that guys can do that. Did they write a blog post? Did they white knight when you were at, I don't know, a club function or at their Thanksgiving dinner? I don't know. It kind of depends on what the context is, so I can't really give you a hard and fast answer, but I can tell you where it comes from. It comes from a need to identify with the feminine. White knights are essentially sneaky fuckers. They won't say that they are, right? They'll say, like the guy who was like talking about how like, what was it, the ideal masculinity is to be like Prince by King, the King, Return of the King, right? Aragorn, the Numenorian. He's not immortal because Numenorians weren't immortal, but they lived a long ass time. Not as much as elves, right? I know. I read the Silmarillion too. So when you're going to like a white knight is going to use examples like that. Here's what those guys aren't real men. I'll tell you what real men are. And then they proceed to tell you what real men are based on how well they can identify with the feminine. A real man does whatever a woman tells him to do. He's emotionally available and he's the protector and provider and parentally invested. He's very much invested in that side of hypergamy for sure. But he's never the guy who's like the guy who fucks, the guy who you didn't get the sports fucking gene, right? He's never the guy that's the hot guy in the foam cannon party on spring break and, Cancun. He's never that guy. In fact, that's the guy he has to defend against. So really what white knighting is a form of intrasexual competition. And intrasexual competition, you got to remember when it comes to primates and it comes to human beings as well. Human males, depending on what kind of society you live in, it's frowned upon for men to kill other men right now. Call me crazy, right? So there has to be bloodless ways of out-competing your competition, your intrasexual rivals. So when a guy like Andrew Tate arrives on the scene, or Sterling Cooper, who I'm going to do a video of here in just a minute, or Justin Waller, or whoever else, those guys, if those guys come in and they start talking about, if they start like sounding like they're proud of their conquests, right? It's all, in fact, you want to know white knight language? Men they only want to get with hot women because they want to show them off. That's validation. No, that's what chicks think. That's women projecting their want onto men. Whenever somebody tells you that, okay, start the clip here. The clip is this, okay? Whenever you hear a woman say, or a man say that men like hot women because either A, they are conditioned by society at large to want that. They're conditioned by pornography or magazine covers or Hollywood or whatever to like a certain kind of girl. Like that's like biology has nothing to do with it. Like hypergamy has nothing to do with any of this. It's just your conditioning that's number one. Number two is the only reason why men want to get with the hottest piece of ass that they could ever get with is because they want to show off to their bros. She's a trophy. They want to show up at the party with the hottest chick that they possibly can, right? Because that lifts them up in status. No, that is not the reason. The reason is that that's a hot chick and they want to have sex with that chick. That's the only reason. Period. End of story. All this validation stuff, all this Jungian psychology, all this Freudian psychology, all that stuff, that's women projecting their own ideas of what it must be like. Because again, we're going back to the blank slate here. If men and women are equals, if we're functional, objective equals, then what a woman wants in a guy is to be able to show this guy off, because that's an ego association for that woman. And for women, it's true. That's why women have a higher criteria for things that are attractive to them, right? I need a guy with a lot of money. I need a guy who's money, muscles, and game. He's got to be good looking. He's got to be hot. He's got to be 6 feet tall. He's got to have blue eyes, trust fund, 6'5", finance, all of whatever the song is, right? They got to have all that, but then he's also got to be a provider. He's got to be a servant leader. He's got to be a protector. He's got to be parentally invested. He's got to be a good father material, right? He's got to love his mom. He's got to love his country. He's got to come from a good family. He's got to like Disneyland and puppy dogs. He's got to have a good sense of humor. He has to be educated, like down the laundry list of things. And why is that? Because that guy's quality, the value added that guy brings to the table, there's no possible way that a woman can balance that equation out and wouldn't want to anyways, because women want a man who is better than they are. They want a guy who is above them socioeconomically, status-wise, looks-wise, height-wise, strength-wise. How many times have we talked about this in the manosphere? They want women can't look up to a man who is her equal. That's the easiest way to describe this and to define this. But what happens then is when that woman is trying to figure out why this hot guy wants to get with that hot chick and not her, because she has all these, ephemeral, esoteric qualities that he simply can't see. Or maybe she's older, right? She's 35 and he wants to get with a chick who's 25. Well, he must be infantile. We've got to come up with these rationales and this cope to explain why this guy who is hitting his prime and hitting his stride at 35, 36, 37 years old is less attracted to a chick who is of his sort of, age appropriate, right? His peer appropriate, or why we even call it appropriate in the first place? And he's more interested in a chick who's hotter, younger, tighter, youth, fertility, bigger tits, nice, thigh gap, whatever your physical standards are. Why is that guy? Why is he wrong? Why is he evil for wanting that? But you weren't evil wanting all the other stuff that, like the much longer list of prerequisites. Well, the reason why one of the explanations they have is they explain away the idea anyways, is that, well, the guy must want a hot piece of ass because he wants to impress all his friends. No, that's what women want to do. Women want a guy who is not their equal, who is above them, but she wants all her friends to know that that's the kind of guy that she is capable of locking down. Yes. When it comes to projection, when it comes to impressing her girlfriends, that is most definitely a factor. For guys, ladies, I'm just going to tell you the God's honest, visceral, ugly, not in my case, but this ugly truth, biological truth, the warts and all, guys like to fuck hot girls. That's pretty much it. It's not like they go on, because if that weren't the case, then why would guys get addicted to porn? Why would they be stroking off to like the plethora, the cornucopia of different kinds of porn? That wouldn't be, they would only, if that was the case, they would only be stroking off to the girl who they thought that if they could get and they would show off that would make them better men and increase they would validate them. No, they don't. They beat off to girls who are blonde, brunette, big tits, small tits, tan lines, pale, tan, black, white, yellow, whatever. You got to remember that if you think, like, ladies, if you think that guys only have one type, like I can't compete with those porn girls. Which one? The midgets? The BDSM girl? The one in the swimsuit or the lingerie? The one that's rail thin, or the one that's the big beautiful, like the big fat chick? Which one are you talking about that you can't compete with? Because there's a lot. And there's a reason why there's a lot, because the very fact that there's, like, guys are opportunistic breeders, man. And it's like guys aren't into fat chicks. Guys aren't into thin chicks. Guys aren't into brunettes. Like, let me just, this is not me in any way throwing Mike under the bus, but Mike has a definite type. And I think you know what his type is if you've seen the chicks that he's with on a regular basis. Like, his type is 1,600 cc's, 1,800 cc's. He's not doing that because he's not getting with those chicks, consistently getting with those kind of chicks, because he thinks, if I do this, then my guy friends will think that much more of me. No, he likes chicks with big majigums, man. That's his thing. It's not about projection. It's not about validation. That's on chicks. So, ladies, if you think that it's all about guys feeling better about themselves and validating stuff, it's not. Guys just like to fuck hot chicks. And if you don't happen to be his type, trust me, there's 10 other guys. Maybe some of you are attractive, maybe you're not. Maybe some of them give you the ick, maybe some of them don't. But trust me, along the way, like, women have much, much higher standards of ideal beauty for men than men will ever have for women. And I know that runs contradictory to everything anyone has ever told you, especially when it comes to pornography. Like, people want to say, like, this has been going on since I was like in the 80s or 90s or whatever like that. Women will say the same thing. I can't compete with those girls in porn. Who? Which ones? The big, beautiful one? The fat chicks? The fetish girls? The ones with the little tiny feet in China, or the ones with the long necks in Africa? The ones that are, the Rubenesque chicks in the Rococo period of, painting, what is it? The Rubenesque women of the Baroque, like those chicks, you can't compete with those. What about heroin thin pale chicks that some guys have a fetish for? You don't have to worry about that. And the guy's not into that kind of girl because he thinks, God bless a spinner, man. I love me a spinner, right? But if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up in Urban Dictionary. But yeah, it's not about validation. Guys aren't like picking or wanting to fuck certain kinds of girls because they were looking for validation. They're doing it because they get off on it. That's what they like, man. And so that's easy for me to go and say about, I'm trying to answer your question about like white knighting here. The white knight will agree with that. Will agree with the woman. Well, these men, if they were real men, they wouldn't care about what's on the outside. They would care about what's on the inside. They only want to get with those kinds of girls, those girls on Access Vegas, the ones with the big giant titties. Like they only get with those girls. Rolo and Mike only get those girls on the show because they want to feel validated. They want to be the big man on campus. Like, get the fuck out of here with that stupid, corny bullshit, man. No, we have them on there because, first of all, they're friends, and second of all, they look good, and guys like that shit, and guys like that. I love it when people go, Rolo, you need to get some girls on there with like real boobs. You wouldn't know a girl with real boobs if it came and she bit you on the ass. Most guys don't know what a real boob looks like because they're porn brained. They were raised on porn from the time they were like, 10 years old or 12 years old. You wouldn't know what a real boob looks like. And by the way, you probably wouldn't like what a real boob looks like. You wouldn't be able to identify it. Let me ask you this. People are going to go to her site now, but do you think Tiffany Fox's boobs are real? Question. They're going to, everybody, sorry, I just basically flooded Tiffany's Twitter site right now. Do you think they are? I know. Do you? Is that what I have had a girl on my show who has real boobs. Her name is Tiffany Fox. What? Not that kind of girl. You only like her because you want to feel like the big man on campus. That's white knighting. It's taking the woman's side. It's well, I think men and women ought to be. It's calling your girlfriend, or calling your wife your partner. That's white knight speak right there. It's identification game is what it comes down to. How do you deal with that? Call out the bullshit. That's exactly what I just did. Exactly what I just did. Can you have a religious only marriage if the man is not ignorant and has more experience than she does? Experience in like more sexual partners? Otherwise, you are setting yourself up for so you're making a statement. Sorry. You can have a religious only marriage if the man is not ignorant and has more experience than she does. Okay, I hear where you're coming from. Otherwise, you are setting yourself up for failure. A failure due to power dynamics. Patrice O'Neill was right. Yes, did he say that? Yeah, or something. Maybe you're paraphrasing right there. Yeah, for sure. But here's the thing is, and this kind of gets to my second topic of the day, which is, of course, sexless marriage. And I've been sort of locking horns with a few people on Twitter recently, some of them well-meaning. I don't want to shit on anybody. I think that just the conversation we're having is actually a pretty productive one. But, some people that I know, right, who like make a living off of saying, well, I know you can turn a sexless marriage around. I'm not saying you can't, but you can also teach a monkey to use an ATM. The question is, do you want to? Do you want to do that? Is it worthwhile? Like that one chick who was talking about how like her husband, because she decided they were going to have a sexless marriage, and the guy says, okay, fine, I'm just going to go sleep in a tent in the backyard, a backyard of the house that he's paying rent on, or he's paying the mortgage on. What will her concern is, what will the neighbors think? And rightly, and the chick is right. It's like, the bigger problem is why are you more concerned with the neighbors than the fact that your husband has decided to take those kind of drastic actions? And I will tell you right now that marriage is over. The guy should not be sleeping in a tent in his backyard. He should be filing for divorce. And the very fact that I would say something like that means that I'm throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and that there's some way to reestablish a fruitful sex life where everybody is happy and they enjoy fucking each other for the first time, or for in a long time, first time in a long time, right? I'm not saying it's not possible. It actually absolutely is possible to sort of re-spark that. The question is it worth re-sparking that? Like, I pointed it, I mentioned this last week. I didn't get into it as well as I wanted to last week, but like I talked about this as like, I showed you guys a tweet. I said, if you're in a sexless marriage and it's been 6 months and she's okay with not having sex with you for 6 months, it might as well be 6 years. I'm not saying throw the baby out with the bathwater, but just understand that if she can go 6 months, she can go 6 years. So plan accordingly. If you're going to then, file divorce. Right. Because it's at that point you kind of have to I think the reassessment, the understanding whether or not this is like worth it or it's not, needs to happen sooner than later. Okay. Maybe I was a little premature. Maybe you shouldn't file divorce immediately at 6 months. Well, a year? Yeah, probably better call Sexton at that point. Better start planning if she hasn't already. If you're, I can tell you with 100% assurity that if you think it's a better course of action to set up a tent in your backyard and sleep out in the tent than it is to deal with your sexless marriage, better call Sexton. Better to do that. I mean, hell, I'm being biblical, right? I mean, better to sleep on a corner of the house than to deal with a quarrelsome woman. I'm presuming that quarrelsome also includes sexlessness. So yeah, so I'm bringing this up and I'm trying to explain, it's not about well, I mean, it is about the sexlessness part, but it's like, it's not so much about the sexlessness part as it is about, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the effort is the return on the investment, right? And of course, the first thing anybody wants to say is, well, is the guy in shape? Is he going to the gym? Is he measuring up to her expectations? And I can say in a lot of the cases of the guys that I work with, they're in very good shape, or they of course, most of them are in divorce anyways, but they were in good shape, or they're just doing, like, I think the thing that gets me is the average guy. I'm not going to call him a beta, but let's just call him average. Average men, delta males, maybe that's a better way to put it. Average guys are convinced that if they do the right things, if they do the right thing, if they remember what was it Rich Cooper was always saying, is like, we tell men, our boys, do the right thing, but we tell women to do what's right for them. And usually I think that's good, but I think there should be a second part to that. And what those guys think is do the right thing is do what's right for her. Do what's right for her. Support your wife. Make sure she's got it. Make sure she's happy. Meet her needs at the expense of your needs. Yes, of course, because men are sacrificial. Sleeping out in a tent in the backyard. I can't imagine something more sacrificial and, than that. I mean, obviously, guys, being a bitch, the guy should not sleep in a pub tent in the backyard. He should file for divorce. That's the only answer to that question that lady should have had is file for divorce. Message to the guy, file for divorce. Because if that's what it's come to, she ain't going to get it. It's not going to happen now. If it hasn't happened now, it's not going to happen later. And that's why I'm saying, like when I was putting that tweet out, it's like, if she can go 6 months, she can go 6 years. That doesn't mean wait 6 years and see if it comes back. That means 6 years, right? I had this one guy who was just reading this. Maybe I'll dig it up. It's in my Twitter feed. The guy was talking about I think it was copy and pasted from Reddit. And it was about this guy who was in 7 years sexless in his marriage. I think they were married for 10. And for the last 7 years, he's been completely, utterly like zero, not even drip fed, like no sex. Guys will say, well, just follow my program. Do what I tell you to do. Like, yes, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but like they'll say like, well, if you prayed 7 minutes a day, then she'd want to fuck you again. Or maybe if it pointed out in the Bible where it says she's not supposed to deny herself to you, then she would be, then the fear of the Lord is over, like her sex drive is like prioritized by the fear of the Lord rather than her actual desire for you. Okay. Mm-mm. It's got to be natural. It's got to be genuine. I think I would be a little bit more concerned if like the guy was like, okay, well, does she touch you? Does she kiss you? Does she hold you? Does she hug you? Does she is there still any kind of like intimate affection? She just won't fuck you. Is that how it is? Because usually those marriages go with a side of no intimacy, with a side of no affection, with a side of, it's like, that's just a symptom. So the sexlessness is like a given, right? But then the symptom, like what else goes along with that? Is she just like, doesn't want to, like the thought of her even like you even touching her, is the thought of like inspire like visceral disgust? Like women have like, Rolf Dengen. I'm trying to remember where I saw the study from. There's research shows. I have it in my bookmarks, in my Twitter bookmarks. Women have a higher degree of sexual disgust than men, as you might guess, right? That's why men fetishize stuff. That's why guys can sort of develop a preference for like fat chicks, or they can develop a preference for a certain kind of girl. And it's usually the girl that they were sexually successful with in the past. Because what happens is your preferences for the kind of chick that you want to get with are usually the product of what was what was, fruitful for you in the past. Is like you want to go back to well, I got it with the fat chick before. I think I could get it with this chick. Or divorced chicks are easier. I have a preference for single mothers. No, you don't. It's just the single mother you were with before this other one. She's easier to get with than the other ones. Right? It's a path of least resistance. Oh, hey, thank you. I didn't even see that. Got slipped right under the radar. Here you go. Andrew Wheaton. Thank you for your book on religion. I've handed out a lot of copies to my fellow Christians to great benefit, and your player's handbook helped me with long-term girlfriend. Even as a conservative Christian, your work has been instrumental in my life. Thank you. Somebody, please copy and paste that and put that in whoever's criticizing the Manosphere recently. See, this is the kind of stuff, like, this is the kind of tweet or the kind of, super chat I'll get, or like, I'll get like emails from guys. I'm on a weekly basis. I probably get about 10, maybe anywhere between 8 and 10 emails saying, dude, thank you for saving my life. Thank you for this. Thank you for help. Or I just did a one-on-one with this guy. I don't think he wants me to name his name, but a guy that I hadn't talked to in a while. Like, I haven't talked to this dude since 2019, something like that. And just out of the blue, he's like, hey, can I get another like one-on-one with you? And I'm like, yeah, I've got all the time in the world right now because I'm still recovering from the surgery. Right. So I talked to him and caught up with him, and like, he was just like, dude, I just want to tell you, like, straight from the rip here. It's like, everything you told me in the past was just like so helpful. And I'm a different person. I'm a better man right now because of all that. That's the kind of shit you are never going to see from Louis Inspector Clouseau. You're never going to see that from those dudes. You're never going to hear the upside. You're never going to hear the lives that were saved. You're never going to hear about the guy who canceled his appointment with suicide. You're never going to hear the stories of men who have whose children have a father today, because it doesn't have to be me. It could be Myron. It could be Ryan. It could be anybody, like anybody whose name you don't even know in this space. And the immeasurable good that it has done, the long-term good it has done, not just for the man himself, but for his family and his kids. And maybe he got back together with his wife. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he got out of a bad situation. I don't know, but his life is better as a result of this. You will never, and I say, don't never say never. I will say never. You will never hear that from the mainstream media. You will never hear that from the gatekeepers. It will never come out of their mouths. It can't. Because if there is no boogeyman, no one gets paid. And God forbid those guys, those red pill guys, those alpha bro podcasts actually might do something beneficial for somebody and save someone's life. God forbid. God forbid you would even consider in your building of a straw man. God forbid that would ever factor into the straw man, like even as a caveat, it would never happen. But thank you for that. God Emperor Rolo King. He likes to call himself the Rolo King God Emperor. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. It's a shame that Andrew is giving no not so erudite oxygen to set up a WWE with his wife. I saw that too. Not so erudite is an accessory to the crimes of destiny. Can we at least, here's the thing. If you're going to have a debate with, what's left to debate, man? If you're going to have a debate with not so erudite, Kyla, if you're going to have a debate with Destiny, if you're going to have a debate with Farah or Jasmine Jafar or any of those fucking hacks, those sock puppets that were bought by Progressive Victory, the DNC PAC, the DNC Political Action Committee, which, by the way, now wants to throw all those guys under the bus after, I guess, maybe the NDAs are coming up and now people can talk shit about them. And so now they've got to sort of get out ahead of the story. I saw that tweet. Everybody, Progressive Victory hardly ever tweets anything, but they are now. Because they don't want that stink on them. They don't want that Destiny stink on them, because now Destiny is probably going to go to jail. If there's a God in the universe and justice is served, Destiny will go to prison. where he belongs. He is a sex offender, has admitted that he is a sex offender, and enlisted and recruited Kyla to broker hush money between himself and Pixie, who is one of the plaintiffs in one of these cases, a civil case, I think, who was saying, what's it going to cost for you to make this go away? He couldn't do it himself, but he had to get Kyla to go and do it for him. She is now an accessory to that crime. That's the way it works. That's what's going to happen. If you think that she is worthwhile in debating on any topic on planet Earth or otherwise, you are part of the problem. Giving these people oxygen, if like after all this stuff came out, you gave them one or two, you know, okay, it's a little bit forgivable. Now it's not. You know what they're about. Now it looks bad if you do it. There are other, like, here's the thing. Why can't you find anyone else to debate even the same fucking topics? Why can you not? Why would put it this way? If there was some other influencer, some other public figure who went and mouthed the same rhetoric that Destiny or Not So Erudite did, would you have them on in preference to having Destiny or Kyla on? No, you wouldn't. Why? Because they're going to be the guaranteed clicks. They're going to be the guaranteed eyes on the actual video. That says more about you than it does about them now. It might not have before. It sure as shit does now. Don't give these people oxygen. Stop giving them what they want. Let them fade into nothing. It's a fate worse than death for them to fade into irrelevance. If you really want to hurt these people, if you really want to like make them atone for their crimes, there are many, many crimes that they have themselves admitted to. Like even Andrew Wilson, who has my back, it still has, and I will never forget that, had my back with all this bullshit with Lauren Southern and all the shit that went on with Venti, and he explained this in great detail. There's a clip of it on Michael Sartain's podcast, but it was on his podcast. Basically broke it down in like step by step and chronologically of what happened and all the stuff that went on and all of them trying to fabricate and manufacture. Still, even after that, a year after that, tried to bullshit everybody into thinking I had some alternate Twitter account that was like this bigoted racist account, which is absolute 100% proven horse shit. That's who you're going to have on your show. That's the guy whose opinion is somehow worth more than somebody else. Like, who else could you get? Like, I'm sure you could find somebody else to debate. I'm sure you could find somebody who is probably a better debater, certainly less autistic, certainly not on Vyvanse when they're doing this all the time. You could find somebody who didn't do that. I'm sure you could find someone. I'm sure that there is a lot of people who are just chomping at the bit to debate you guys, but you keep coming back to the same horse shit people. They're shit people. They are shit human beings. Why do you give them any airtime, especially when you guys have it right now? And respectability, you've got at least some sort of integrity and some respectability. Why would you sully your brand with these pieces of shit? Why? Seriously, I'm not saying this to burn anybody. I'm not trying to. God forbid. I love both the Wilsons. I love them both. Fantastic. I'm just saying, like, why? I understand what the upside is. The upside is you're going to get a better podcast because more people are going to watch. But is it more substantive? Is it more constructive? I don't think so. At some point, people are going to go, yeah, what's this? The 10th time you've debated her? Or maybe collectively anyways. What is this on whatever podcast? You're really going to, like, I just brought this up. I dug up this, I don't know how it came back to me, but I dug up this old video. It was from 2023. And it was when I was first discovering that Progressive Victory had essentially bought off all of these influencers, including Farah including Jasmine Jafar. Like Jasmine Jafar, you should not take anything that bitch says with any amount of seriousness, because she sold her ass out to a political party. I was listening to Farrah say like, oh, they were trying to tell her that she should like some white chick should have a woman of color, a brown girl like her, try to build up Biden, and how offended she was. You signed the NDA. You took the paycheck from them. I still have that video. I actually reposted it on Twitter this week. And then she goes on some, like, she was just on some, feminist panel show. I'm like, why is anybody taking Farrah's advice or what she says with any amount of seriousness? She takes money for, well, she is technically a prostitute. She's still on, she's a sex worker. Sorry, I have to say it the nice way. But not just that, she took money from the DNC to say what they wanted her to say. You're worthless. Sorry, you are officially worthless. That's worse than anything I can think of. Literally worse. And like, because why should anybody take you seriously? You took money from somebody to say what they wanted you to say and then pretend like it was your words. Bye. You're a liar. And worse than that, you're prostituting yourself, both physically and mentally. You're a liar. Go away. No one wants to hear anything you have to say anymore. You have an asterisk by your name. Remember when Barry Bonds, they found out, like, a home run king, Barry Bonds, they found out he was on like performance enhancing drugs and they wanted to put an asterisk by his name. You should put an asterisk by the name of all those sons of bitches that you thought you took so seriously back in 2022, 2023. Should put an asterisk by the shit. You should put Lawrence Southern in jail. You should put Brittany Venti in jail. You should put Destiny. I was probably already on his way to jail. Vaush belongs in jail. Anybody who's taking money from the DNC and pretending that they weren't, and pretending that their words were actually their own, they should at least have an asterisk by their name, just like Barry Bonds didn't actually do this, was actually mouthing these where you're a sock puppet. You're mouthing the words for someone else. And worse than that, it's a political entity. What if somebody like, what if a religious leader, what if Michael Knowles or Jeremy Boring had come up to you and said, okay, I know we're ideologically diametrically opposed, Jasmine Jafar, Farah, but I'll tell you what, I'll make it worth your while. I will pay you $1 million this year. And what I want you to do is basically repeat all the talking points. Have the sudden change of heart. Repeat all these talking points. Let me put words into your mouth, and I'm going to pay you this amount of money, or it's a religion, or it's a political ideology, and they paid you more money, and you started doing that. Like you would say, well, it's the DNC, man. They would have said the same thing. Okay, well, if you're going to say that for them, just because you happen to agree with them, does that mean that it was just an amount of money? What did they offer you? Like, what was the pay? I would love to know what the payout was for something. Nobody asked me shit, man. Nobody goes, hey, Rollo, let me tell you something, Rollo. Say these things and we'll pay you a lot of money for doing it. Shit, I can't even get Louis Theroux to hit me up for a fucking interview. Are you kidding? I love it when people do this, man. I love it. Love it. Love it. When people are like, that Rollo, he just wants to sell books. Or I love this. I can't believe that anybody believes these Manosphere guys. They have these men's group and they're just filching shekels out of these young, impressionable guys, these boys, right? They're always, because they don't care if you're an older guy, right? They're filching money out of these. I'm like, do you know the kind of money they charge for the war room? No, you don't. Do you even know what it's about? Do you know, like, I know Justin Waller has a men's group. I don't know but you know who your hero, Orion Taraban, has one too. Rich Cooper has one. I have one. I'm Reignite. In fact, at least I'm above board with it. And I'll tell you who I work with guys who are in the 35 to 65 range. Mostly guys who are in 45 to 65, but I do that as a manner of principle, because those are the guys that I want to keep the noose off of their neck and I want to keep the gun out of their mouth, right? Said that a million times. But I think if you guys realize the kind of money we get paid to do this, you would not be worried about this whatsoever. Like I said, I just did my taxes. You want to see my what I pay in taxes? You want to see the kind of money I make? You would not be worried about that. You know how much money I make off of this podcast? Let's see. I just made $50. Let's see. $5 here. 35 Zara's. I don't know what that is. $19.99 here. $9.99 here. And guess what? YouTube gets 30% of all of that too. It's that $50. Thank you, bro. I get what, $35 from that. I don't know. You know, maybe I get $40. What, $50? What I get? $43 for that. And then I got to pay taxes on it. And by the way, the YouTube gets 30%, and then the tax man gets money on top of that. I'm not in it for the money. Certainly not doing this. That is for 100% sure. In fact, I am, what time is it? We're at the 2-hour mark. I got to make this announcement right now. I need to find somebody else to do my clips channel because, and God bless him. I love Nick. He's trying his best, but I can't keep paying what I'm paying. Nick, I love you, but I got to find somebody else to do my clips. If you do clips and you're reasonable and affordable, I'm all about it right now because let me explain to you. I'll be a 100% above board. You could go find this out on Social Blade anyways. If you have vidIQ, you probably already know what I make off of my clips channel. I made $1,200 off of my clips channel. I pay Nick $1,000 to do a month to do my clips channel and have been for several years now, 4 years now. And again, like there've been some times where it's well worth the grand, no problem. When I was making $8,000, $10,000 a month, that was, here, no problem. But when I'm making $1,200, I'm paying $1,000 to make $245. I can't do that anymore. So I'm either going to let the clips channel slide, I'm just going to let it die, or I'm going to find somebody else who can like help me out with it a little bit more affordable and help me get it up. If you can get it above $1,200, I'm all ears, but I can't pay $1,000 a month to make $245. So when people tell me these guys are in it just for the money, fuck you and the horse you rode in on, because there is no money doing what we do on this. Doing this stuff, doing the stuff that people want us to do, doing the shit that's the nuts and bolts. I'm going to talk to you about the epiphany phase. I just gave you all this whole rundown on female male validation when it comes to choosing partners and stuff like that. I'm giving you nuts and bolts good shit. I'm giving you actionable information. I'm giving you real red pill topics. Does not convert to $1 at all. You know what does? Talking shit about Sneeko, talking shit about the Manosphere, talking shit about Myron, talking shit about whoever the most shit talkable, whoever the shit talk du jour was for this week. That Rolo, he only talks about, he just gossip, because you want gossip. That's what you want. Go look at my numbers, man. Just, you don't even have to go do the analytics. Just go look at views. If I talk about Destiny, 60,000, 100,000 views. I talk about the epiphany phase. Sorry, I don't have crickets on here. People, this is the stuff that matters. This kind of conversation. Who else is doing this? No one. Rule 0. God bless him, Nuclear Caudilla. I might not approve of his choice in women, but he is spot on when it comes to the red pill. He knows his shit. He does quote me quite a bit, but still, he knows his shit. Jack Napier knows his shit. Ryan Stone knows his shit. Even Myron Gaines, if you give him half a second to sort of explain his position, he knows his shit. I don't agree with the Roman salute bullshit. He doesn't need to do that. But you know what? You know what makes him more money? You know what gets more eyes on the screen is, Sieg Heil, y'all. That gets more eyes on the screen than when he talks about, dread or competition anxiety or amused mastery or, the war brides dynamic or alpha widows and trying to explain to you what all that's about. They don't want that. Louis Theroux wanted to make fun of him and turn him into a laughing stock, which he did successfully, unfortunately. But that's because that's what gets eyes on the screen. That's what pays the bills. Louis Theroux is laughing all the way to the bank thanks to Netflix. Do you think I get anything close to that? No, I don't get jack shit. So don't come at me. You come at me for anything you want, but don't come at me saying I'm like on the fucking take. I wouldn't, if I was on the take, I sure shit wouldn't be doing this. I would be doing something a whole lot different. Shit, I'd be managing OnlyFans girls if I was on the take. I would have my own porn company if that was do you know how many porn girls I know? Do you think I couldn't work something out like that? I probably could. You're lucky I use my superpowers for good and not for evil. I'm going to keep it that way, but I'm going to die fucking poor as a result of that. So don't come at me saying, oh, those Manosphere guys, they just care about the money. Get the fuck out of here with that. I'm so sick of that bullshit, because for every Andrew Tate and for every guy, every sneako who has nothing to do, who, by the way, makes his money off a fucking kick, right? For every one of those guys who is like struggling to make money, like to do, there are like 100 to 1,000 other dudes who are out there who are putting out good material all the time, helping save men's lives. And you know what? They get jack shit for it. There are how many women? Who do you think makes more money? Do you think guys in the Manosphere who have their own men's group and who are doing this thing, do you think they make more money than Bonnie Blue? Do you think they make more money than girls that are on let's see, the top 50th percentile of women on OnlyFans? But you won't go and watch the OnlyFans documentary that me and Mike were in, but you'll be happy to go watch the Netflix special on the Manosphere and just be up in arms because you think these guys are just like making money hand over fist. They're not. I don't know what the fuck HS Tiki Taki does to make that kind of cash. I know what Andrew Tate does, but he wasn't even in the movie. So I can't really even I can't even mention his name. He wasn't brought up. I know what Myron has done in the past to make money. He was in the right place at the right time with the right show and still is there and still doing this kind of stuff. I don't know why he bought, how much money do you think Myron Gaines makes by going on tour to these universities and risks his own life like Charlie Kirk? I think does Myron have a death wish? Like, you saw what happened, man. Do you think that there's not some crazy son of a bitch out there who's going to want to kill you because you keep building up on this thing like, I'm a Nazi? Yeah, somebody out there is probably going to, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to laugh when you're bleeding out, when you're gush out of the side of your neck. They're going to laugh. They're not going to care. That's a death wish, man. You can do so much more good, but why do you do that? Because it's eyes on the screen, because you get more notoriety, makes more clout means more money. I don't see how clout converts to money. I mean, this side of the gate, I don't know, like on the gatekeepers, I don't see how that converts to cash. I really don't. It's a shame that Andrew is not. Okay, yeah, it is a shame. I've noticed that women cannot control social circle. They would rather make sure it breaks. Yeah, they would. If they can't control, if they have no actual, really, that's what women want is control. And why? Why do you think that? Okay, here, I'm going to give you here's some actionable advice. Why do you think women want that kind of control? From an evolutionary perspective, it's because women are the vulnerable sex, right? When you're the vulnerable sex, when you are that vulnerable, especially during pregnancy, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like pregnancy, but you have this psyche that says she's the weaker sex, right? She's the vulnerable sex. Why do women want a guy who's stronger than them, faster than them, taller than them? I'm just talking from a physical perspective, or you could even say like has more resources than them, makes more money than them. Like those are the only guys that are worth committing to. Guys who are women will only commit to elite men. Who are those elite men? They have to be here and she has to be here. I'm not saying that the guy has to smash her down and has this kind of tyranny that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the women are attracted to that. Don't believe me? Then how do we have this conversation? Women don't go, I want a guy who's exactly my equal. This is why I have a real problem with this bullshit that's going on with like assortative mating right now. Assortative mating is the new bullshit that they had to replace mate switching hypothesis with. When mate switching hypothesis went tits up. No one talks about. Remember this? I talked about this for the longest time in 2023 and 2024. And people go, do you think you know better than David Buss? Well, apparently I did, because nobody else wants to talk about mate switching hypothesis anymore because it was bullshit from the start. Well, but we can't admit that it's actually dual mating strategy that is actually women's innate evolved biological mating strategy. You can't have that because that would be unflattering to women, right? So what is it? Oh, well, it must be a mate switching hypothesis. Okay, well, if that were the case, then why do women want somebody that's richer, stronger, faster, but more, someone that they can look up to? Why do women want the guy who is more than they are? Why do we have this just infrastructure, this framework, this scaffolding of people saying that men need to be more, men need to perform, but do better? Why? I only need, according to mate switching, or according to assortative mating, I only have to be at parity with her, and then I should meet my ideal perfect partner, right? Because it's this egalitarian ideal. But we don't find that. That's the actual case. Hell, when you look at it's not Steve Stewart Williams, it was Rolf Dingen. Rolf Dingen was talking about how in the most gender neutral societies, which are the Scandinavian countries, Finland, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, in those countries where they're as gender parity as possible, men and women still default to gender dimorphism. They still, like, men still want to get with a certain type of women want to get with the guy who's more than they are. Even though they have the choice to get with whoever they want, they can be whatever they want. Women still tend to choose professions that are about people, and men tend to choose professions that are about things. You're given 100% equality, equal freedom, or as close as we can get to it in those gender sort of parity countries. In the most gender neutral countries in the world, men still want to be men and women still want to be women, and women still want to get with the guy who is above them socioeconomically, physically, mentally, educationally. He's got to be better. He's got to be more. As I was saying before, they're not looking for a guy who is their equal. They're looking, if she's a 6 and he's a 6, that doesn't work, because the guy who's a 6 still has to bring something more to the table. He still has to have value added in addition to him being a sexual market value 6. It's right there. That just fundamental principle makes assortative mating fly out the window. And you know why it flies out the window? Because it is primarily based on social constructionism. That's why. So when we look at, let's see, I even have it on, I think I have this on tap. When we look at the difference here, the people, like, I don't know how many times I have to bang my head against this, right? On the left side of that if that looks like hypergamy to you, you've probably seen scales and charts that look like this. This is the natural innate way of ranking that women have for men. And this is in a state of sexual freedom. This is socially, right? Okay. Without socially enforced long-term monogamous bonds between men and women, this is how it works. CAD society. The CAD society is what women would naturally default to if pregnancy wasn't a worry. They didn't have to worry. If there was some magical pill that allowed for this, and then suddenly we have the sexual revolution and we have all this great shit. Awesome. Okay. Well, hey, let's look here. Regulated sexuality, case 2, right? Strict enforcement of lifelong monogamous bonds between, so it's either through society or religion or whatever. Then suddenly it starts to look a whole lot like the assortative mating model. So what's the natural way? Well, the natural way, of course, is without. You remove that. So you remove the social constructionism aspect, constructionism aspect. You pull that out of the sexual marketplace, it defaults to sexual freedom. It defaults to the hypergamous ideal. 1s through 6s don't reproduce, right? 1s and females who are 1 or 2 aren't going to produce just because they're ugly, right? But like 3s can reproduce. And by the way, this isn't how they're actually lining up. Remember, wanting to fuck somebody, wanting to mate. Well, ideally, remember, sexual freedom side, the hypergamous side right there, it's on the left side. That's what women would prefer. It's not what they necessarily get. Okay. So that's the thing is, I think what happens is when we're talking about assortative mating, we're talking about sort of the nuances and the intricacies of the whole thing. People, first of all, people tend to think of marriage as the metric by which we ought to, like, you know, measure success in all of this. Why? We have the lowest marriage rate in recorded history. We definitely, at the very least, we need to reconsider that as the metric, right? Because if you're trying, I don't think people are. I think people, when we're talking about assortative mating and dual mating strategy, and we're talking about like what's the innate mating strategy for men and for women, it's not about who they marry, who they make a lifelong commitment to, who they're making babies with. Because remember the video I just showed you a minute ago about the baby mamas, right? Baby mom for you, baby mom for you, baby mom. And we laugh at that. We think it's funny. This is great. Look, there's 3 guys here. They're all the baby daddies. Ha 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 ha. It was like Queen Latifah, right? I think that she was the one who was the comedian when she was funny. Why is that even a thing? Imagine you're like prior to, like, you're living in a society prior to the sexual revolution, and you see that video. Like, I don't know how magically in the future this is what's going to happen. You got to see that. I think most women would be horrified. Certainly, guys would be horrified. They're all cucks. Every last one of those guys is a cuck. She got what she's getting. That chick is getting money from 3 different baby daddies for 3 different kids. She hit not only did she hit the financial jackpot, but she hit the biological jackpot. And I'll tell you what's funny, it's probably even more funny is, like, imagine that chick is probably one that's complaining about how she can't find a good stepdaddy to come in, help her with all those kids, and how she can't find a good husband through the single women's ministry at her church. Or maybe she already has. Maybe she has a guy who's helping pay for all those kids, and those are all the baby daddies. It's a jackpot. It's a bonanza for her. You won't hear that from anybody outside the manosphere. But we'll laugh about it on TikTok, won't we? Let's see. I got to grab a few more of the super chats. There we go. What's this one? Wife and I were in a store, and I noticed the lingerie. I pointed to a specific bra. I said, that would look good on you. She liked it, started looking for bottoms. I said, you won't need them. Everything in his books is true. Thank you. Well, good for you. You know what? You get that. All right. There you go, my friend. Vaya con Dios. Go, God. See, wouldn't you rather like listen to me than Michael Knowles or these guys in their sexless marriage? Here's how you fix your sexless marriage. That would look good on you. God, I don't know if I should say this. One of the things I tell my guys when I'm in Reignite is, like, they're trying to talk about like game and like how, like, Rolo, I don't know what to say to a girl, blah, blah. We start talking about like mystery method, and we start talking about gambits, and we start talking about like conversation. I don't know really what else to call them, like kind of conversation pieces, like little bits of stories that are conversation starters. And how I know this firsthand, because this has sort of happened with me, is I have become a little, like, doing this show, and really since the Pat Campbell days, I have learned to be more sociable, and I'm a better conversationalist. Like, I'm talking to you guys. I've been doing this for forever now, but I'm better live now than I've ever been in my life. Now, I've done stage acting, as some of you guys have doxed me about. I have been on stage playing music for a long time. I'm okay in front of crowds. I don't have a problem with that. Some people think that I am in some way naturally extroverted, and I am by necessity. It's not that I don't like being, I love showing off. I like being a show off. There's nothing wrong with that. But I have some very introverted hobbies or introverted interests. Like, you can't be an author and not be introverted, right? You can't be, I like to play Warhammer 40,000. My hobbies, learning to play guitar, not actually performing guitar. That's extroverted, but learning, being musical, understanding like music theory, understanding chords and scales and all this other stuff. And by the way, Kyle had this guy, Kyle, who is the guitarist for A Common Crown. If you haven't followed Kyle on Substack, I think you should, because his Substack has nothing to do with the Red Pill. It is all about music. It is all about bands. It is all about like album reviews. And his most recent Substack is about his rig rundown. And I need to do one of those. I saw that, I read that, I go, God damn it, I need to go get my DJI Osmo, and I'm just, for shits and giggles, I'm just gonna go and do a rig rundown for my amps and my guitars and stuff like that. Have nothing to do whatsoever with the Red Pill. I just want to do it just because I think it would be fun. That's what I'm talking about. Like having those kind of interests. So like being an extrovert is something I'm okay with, I'm good at, but I'm really kind of an extroverted introvert, I guess. Maybe that sounds right. But what I'm saying is that you can have these conversations. You can learn how to be better at conversations. You can learn how to do public speaking, like Toastmasters, right? How to go out and talk at a TED Talk. One of those things that I've learned recently, and I've said this before, is like there's certain situations that I think one of the best parts of being a good conversationalist, and this is maybe an element of game, okay, is knowing how to sort of tease out a conversation out of just shit that happens, right? So one of the things I always talk about is like when I used to dye my hair. I don't do it anymore because my hair is now, I don't know if you can see, but I'm going to do a beanie-less show at some point, because I did shave my head before I went into surgery back in December. I've been holding off on the grand unveiling because I wanted to get free and clear of the surgery before I did. But back in the day when I was dyeing my hair, I used to go to Sally's. Sally's is this you probably know what Sally's is. It's like a hair care retail outlet franchise here, certainly in Nevada. It's got to be elsewhere too. And so you get hair dye and get like, scissors and stuff for your beard and stuff too. It's just basically grooming stuff. And so I would go there. And I remember when I first got to Las Vegas and I went to Sally's for the first time, right? And I was talking to this chick, and she was behind the counter. She's kind of like, a lot of the girls that work at those kind of places are pretty cute. I don't say they're hot, but they're cute, right? And so I'm at Sally's. And one of the things, you probably had this happen to you, like if you're at a retail outlet and the girl behind the counter, behind the cashier, she'll say like, do you have an account with us? And I'm like, well, no. And they're like, can I get your phone number? I'm like, well, I need to be on a first name basis with you before I give out my phone. And so it's like, it's this quick, oh, well, are we on a first name basis now? Oh, well, okay, yeah, let me get your phone number too. Like I know they have to ask that. But it's like being able to turn that around on the fly. And I was literally in the hospital, and I had this one girl who was taking my vitals. Like the girls have to come around and they have to do your vital signs like every 3 hours. Like they give you like the blood pressure, and they had to take your temperature, and they got to do like the blood ox thing and all this other stuff. And the girl who was doing it was like she was like an intern, or like she was just learning how to be like a nurse's assistant or something. I guess that's what they are when they do that. And so she had her trainer that was with her and say, okay, now I have to do this, I can do that. And one of the things they make them do, I didn't realize they did this, but like one of the things they make them do, or like sort of like just on the side, is like if there's any kind of like suspected like respiratory issues with that person, they have to learn how to watch and see if that person is breathing, right? And I'm like, she started looking at me like, because she's training, right? She started looking at me like, and I'm like, what the fuck is this chick doing? And she's watching me breathe. and she's like, the other trainer goes, well, you don't have to be that obvious about it. And she was like telling her, sometimes I just do this. Like to look around the corner to make sure that the person is like taking full breath, like naturally taking full breaths. They can't say take a full breath because then right? And so she was doing that. And I go, if people are watching me breathe, I usually need to be on a first name basis with them. And so it was fun. So it starts a conversation. I thought that was kind of funny because I think a lot of guys have a real problem like being social, especially now, like having starting conversations and everything. So, let's see. Well, my wife said we stopped having sex because we're not reading the Bible together anymore. So if you did, would like that rekindle stuff? I know Steve's part of my Reignite group, and we know how that worked out. Reading scripture together, well, I think that has a lot of advantages. I think that's definitely something you should do with your wife. Do not for a second think that it is an aphrodisiac. No man has ever scriptured his wife into bed in the history of mankind. Let's see. How will you know she's promiscuous? She won't be honest about her past. That's why I think it's kind of like pointless to be too preoccupied with women's body counts and the quote unquote promiscuity side of things, right? Does her previous promiscuity even matter if she thinks you're the shit? No, I don't think so at all. That's another thing that you're never going to hear come out of the mouth of Michael Knowles. Isn't getting a woman who thinks about you trumps everything else? Yeah, getting a woman who thinks that about you trump everything else. Yes. So I'm glad you brought that up, because as I've said in the past, when I talk about like the alpha widow dynamic, and here we go. We're going to get into nuts and bolts one more time. What is an alpha widow? An alpha widow is the guy who that a woman can't get over. She's the guy that she pines for, especially after she's married. That's when it's the worst. It's one thing if you like if you're a rebound guy and she's still pining for the other guy. I mean, you still got after it with her, but she's still thinking about that guy. At least you can bug out. Your margin for error and your investment costs are not what they used to be. What did you just send me, Sammy? 1 Corinthians 7:5. Defraud ye not. Okay, this is King James. Sorry. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourself to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. Your incontinency, like you're getting horny. Like, can you just like it would be so much. I realize King James is like everybody's sort of like go-to. I get it, especially if you're into Shakespeare, and iambic pentameter. But yeah, he can read that with her. Yes, that's still not going to get her juices flowing, my friend. As much as I. So that's the thing that gets me about the whole religious side of things. I'll get back to the alpha widow thing here in a minute. But I think that a lot of guys who, and maybe this applies to the Shiatz guy and his promiscuous wife. I don't have a problem with promiscuous women. Like I know that sounds weird. Oh, Rollo, you should have a problem with me. Good luck. Good luck. That's like a Monty Python skit. You know, good luck finding a virgin around here. Yeah, I have a sexual history. My body count is public domain, is public knowledge. I have at least by my last reckoning, 41 is Rollo Tomasi's body count. My wife is probably around 6, I think 4 to 6, somewhere in there. So what I would like to ask Michael Knowles or Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, guys, since we're talking about promiscuous women and you want to give Nala Ray a pass, but you're not going to give this guy's wife a pass. Was your wife a virgin when you met her? Did you take your wife's virginity? Was she the first, or were you the first dude she ever had sex with? This guy can at least claim that. Well, he was a virgin, not her. But that guy can at least claim that, right? Were you a virgin when you met your wife? Was she a virgin? Were you guys virgins when you got married? I wonder how many of these like evangelical pundits can say, I can't, I'm not going to, I would never cross my mind to even like gloss myself or pop off with something like that. Like, be a mature human male, dude. You want to get laid. Okay. Okay, it's not like you killed somebody. Okay, you just want to get laid. Right? That's what it boggles my brain. Like I read this constantly on YouTube. It's like, I need to find a virgin bride. Nothing else will do. Good. You're probably, especially if you're the guy who doesn't fuck. If you didn't get the sports fucking gene, you're probably going to be one of those guys who didn't reproduce, and your genetic line is going to go extinct. And it's not going to have anything to do with a great replacement. You are the great replacement for you. And I just, it blows. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just saying, let's be realistic about this whole fucking thing, man. People lose their minds when it's, I brought this up when I did the interview with Coral Osborne, who I got to do another interview with soon. Like Coral is most definitely not a virgin. And she's not going to have her hymen reconstructed. Coral, are you going to be a born again virgin? No, I had that conversation with her, and I was like, when people ask me, Rolo, what do you think is the highest number of partners a woman can have before she can't pair bond anymore, before she can't feel you anymore? I'm like, first of all, why do you care? If you're not getting laid to begin with, what difference does it make? And then second of all, it's like, first of all, why does that bug you so much? And then second of all, if I tell you it's 6, which I can tell you, like, statistically, I already did the research. I did it with Myron Gaines in 2022. We did a full dedicated show about this because what's her name? Drew Afualo was coming at me and Myron back in the day before she was like the woman hating misandrist that she was. She was already a misandrist then. But she came after me and Myron, like, oh, these guys know what they're talking about. So we did a full dedicated show. It's still available on Fresh and Fit. You can go watch it now. And people asked us the same question, and I still come back to the same answer. And the answer is 6. And guess what? Everybody, Rob Henderson and Steve Stewart Williams and the rest of these guys, the rest of these heroes who think the manosphere is full of shit. No, you're coming to the same conclusion we are. Bravo, you caught up to us finally. But yeah, it's like that's what we came up with, and that's more or less what all these other eggheads have come up with too. So I guess we did something right. Now, does that mean that I think that if your body count is 7, then you're this worthless, throw her to the wolves, turn her, she for the streets? No, I don't. In fact, I have no problem with women with tattoos. I have no problem with women with, heck, I prefer women with big boobs and that are fake. A well-placed, well-done tattoo. Maybe not the boob chandeliers. Maybe not Homer Simpson on your thigh, like the people of Walmart tattoos. Yeah, don't do that. But if you have a nice tattoo, I know some of the best, hottest chicks I know are like, they're in very, very like tip-top fucking physical shape. Then have the tattoo that goes from their shoulder to their arm, to their right here. That's just the bicep, right? They don't have a full sleeve, but it's just like so much here. It's done nicely. Or they have the feather somewhere, where that came from. Or the angel numbers, like, cut that shit out. But I don't have a problem with that. If anything, that's like I keep saying, red flags or green flags if you're not the marrying kind. And what I think is crazy is you got all these guys who are like, well, I would never get married anyway. It's only fools and betas would ever get married. But I would never wife up a woman with tattoos. Well, you wouldn't wife up anybody anyway. So what difference? So dive in, man. Sounds like that's a green flag. Go. Just if it's recreational use only, then why do you have a problem with that whatsoever? And I was telling Coral, I said, especially for guys, I don't know, maybe it's my generation. I don't know, but like Gen X, I came out of the Hollywood metal scene. Do you think for a moment I have a problem with promiscuous women with big boobs and tattoos? Do you really think, do I look like the guy that has a problem with that? Just because I'm telling you what the facts are and the stats are and the research says and all this other stuff, just because I'm saying that that's not an endorsement. I don't necessarily align myself with that. I certainly don't align myself with the Michael Knowles and the Matt Walshes and the Ben Shapiro's of the world. I certainly don't align myself with the, asocial schizoid guy who just thinks that he deserves some virgin bride from the Amish Dutch country in Pennsylvania. Like, they're both untenable. I wrote this, of course you haven't seen it, because why would you go and subscribe to my Substack? Please go do. The link is in the description. But I wrote this very well thought out, it's original material, not rehashed shit. This is my own shit. I put this on there because I wanted to do this side-by-side comparison of these people who are talking about how Dan Bilzerian's lifestyle is not a flex, but the guy who looks like he lives the Yellowstone life and has a big cowboy, a 10-gallon cowboy hat, and lives on some ranch, and he is white, and her wife is this beautiful, looks like Beth Dutton, maybe not as crazy, but this blonde chick who looks like she does line dancing, and she's got 3 or 4 kids, and a bonus points if she's got a pregnancy wand that is a positive pregnancy test and everything else. And that's a flex, right? Of course, if it's a migrant family, or if it's a Latino family, then that's not a flex, right? But if it's this nice white couple that she still looks like like she could model swimwear after like 4 kids, right? And they live on a ranch. Those are both fantasies. Dan Bilzerian, his lifestyle is a fantasy that like 98% of men in their lifetime will never live that same lifestyle. So to say that's not a flex, I don't care, because most guys aren't going to ever get to that point. Average men are never going to live that. And you know what else? Average men are never going to live that stupid, idyllic, pastoral, I live on a ranch in Butte, Montana. You don't live there either. You don't live in Las Vegas, Nevada like Dan, and you sure as shit don't live like the Duttons do in Yellowstone in Montana somewhere. So cut the shit. Cut the shit, Michael Knowles. Cut the shit, everybody else. Like, let's just fucking get down to realistic, usable red pill awareness. Make it actionable for what works for you. Don't buy into, it's just as silly and just as stupid a fantasy to say like, oh, these guys, like these Manosphere guys want you to think you can live like Dan Bilzerian or Andrew Tate. No, they don't. No, they fucking don't. And you know what else they don't have any sort of realistic expectation of is to live like some huckleberry on some cattle ranch in the Midwest either. That is just as fucking unattainable for that guy who doesn't have a job, who is underperforming, undersexed, undereducated. The lost boys that you want to complain about, that Scott Galloway talks about all the time, that fucking, Richard Reeves, Dr. Richard Reeves wants to, but we're up and on, we really should worry about these guys, but they do nothing. I'm raising awareness. Bravo. We've been doing that for the last 22 years. What are you doing? What's your fucking plan? If your plan is, well, you can be, live on the Midwest in some ranch. No, you can't. Those average dudes aren't going to do that. We're losing our deltas right now. We're losing the infrastructure. We're losing the guys that maintain the infrastructure. I love how like the same guys will like say, and Mike's talked about this too, but I totally understand. It's like, we'll say, well, when OnlyFans is a more viable, believable, more lucrative, perceptively speaking, career choice for women than becoming a doctor, than becoming a nurse, than becoming like, half the women that I saw when I was at the hospital right now. When OnlyFans perceptually pays more than that, and it prevents the fact that it would prevent women from going into a career that is desperately needed by society, we're gonna oh my God, I can't believe that, right? We're gonna clutch our pearls about that, and you're not clutching your pearls about guys who need to be welders, guys who need to work on oil rigs, guys who need to be electricians and construction workers and lay cement and the delta male guys who keep the lights on in society. That's who we need to be focusing on, because they're dropping out. If you don't have the same level of intensity about women going into OnlyFans when they should be doctors and surgeons and like being contributing members of society, and they have a better alternative because of OnlyFans, and you don't have that same level of concern for guys not getting and being the people who like are actually, rewarding them and making it worth their while to get into those careers, into those middle America kind of careers that like keep guys or keep the society running on all cylinders all the time. You got a real problem. I have a problem with you. I have a problem with you if you don't have a fucking plan. I do my own work with the guys that I work with. I have a specific demographic of guys, and I'm doing something. What the fuck are you doing, Scott Galloway? What the fuck are you doing, Dr. Richard Reeves? What the fuck are you guys doing? You guys want to go and shit all over the manosphere, and oh my God, I can't believe these guys are selling this fantasy to these young. But what alternative are you giving them? Hey guys, get into a welding class. Hey guys, get into, maybe you want to get into electrician. Maybe you want to get into construction. Maybe you want to start your own business. Maybe you want to get, I don't know, coding, whatever the fuck whatever your trade is. What are you doing that's directing those guys towards a path that's going to A, be contributing to society, and B, actually going to give them some sort of status, and maybe they're in somewhat more desirable to the average women. The problem you have is average women don't want average men. Average men are the guys who are the deltas. They're the guys who keep the lights on. They're the construction workers and the welders and the tradesmen and everybody that I'm talking about. And when you lose those guys, you lose society. That's the whole problem. And if you don't have a solution for that, get the fuck out of the way for people that do. I am sick to death of seeing all these TED Talks and these, we're going to get together and have this summit about this and this and this. And we're like Brad Wilcox and the rest of these guys are talking about marriage and all this other shit. You're addressing you're addressing the horses that have already left the stable, asshat. What are you going to do to get them back in the stable? You're putting a Band-Aid on the disease. You're going to talk about the Band-Aid rather than the fucking disease. What are you doing? Nothing. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. You don't, what's like, Nuke always says this, what's your plan? Tell me what your plan is. I have this video. I probably should still show you some of it, but like, if you haven't seen Sterling Cooper's breakdown of the Louis Theroux Manosphere thing, I was going to talk about this a little bit today, but maybe I might leave it alone, or maybe I'll talk about it a little bit. But the Louis Theroux thing with the Manosphere, you're worried about a fantasy that 98% of guys are never going to realize themselves. And you think they're making a shit ton of money off of it. Let me tell you that those 4 guys, first of all, Sneeko should be thrown out of the whole thing. Sneeko should just be launched off of planet Earth into the sun right now, because he's got no purpose being on this earth right now. Okay. He sure has denied the red pill, doesn't want anything to do with it. Although the only reason you know about him is because he was talking shit about the red pill. He's been on Fresh and Fit, and he should basically be, paying them fucking residuals for anybody even talking about him. And I think what's interesting is he'll pop off and say, I'm never part of the red pill. I was never part of the Manosphere. Yet you were happy to go on that fucking documentary, weren't you? You're more happy as a pig in shit to be included with Justin Waller. Happy as a pig in shit to be next to HS Tiki. Who the fuck is HS Tiki Taki in the Manosphere? And obviously he was the understudy for Andrew Tate because they couldn't get Andrew Tate, but they wanted the extreme. They wanted they wanted somebody who's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. These are the role models for young men. No, they're not. No, they're not. And even if they were, what's the alternative? Who else? We need to give positive male, non-toxic masculine, role models and stuff like that. Or like when I was showing you guys the, where was it? Was it the u.gov? I do still have those, like this shit right here. Like these believe women's gains over the, like if you look at all these are the 12 potential misogyny markers. This is what makes you a misogynist according to the UK government. If you have a negative opinion of women in any way, shape, or form, guess what? You're a misogynist. If you say, like, remember that one video, like in Brazil, like if you even interrupt a woman, you can spend 5 years in jail for that because women are supposed to be above reproach. You have a toxic way. If you have a favorable view of Andrew Tate, guess what? You're a misogynist. It's just reactionary horseshit, and they're making money. They are making money hand over fist. The UK government allotted 20 million British pounds to the UK schools so that your little Johnny won't turn into Andrew Tate. He is the boogeyman. Who's making more money off of this? Me? Or the UK government, or whoever's selling this bullshit and filching 20 million British pounds out of the taxpayers' dollars for bullshit, for horse shit. They're the ones that are on the take, not me, not anybody in the manosphere. You can't say I pulled $20 million out of anybody's fucking wallet. I'll tell you that for sure. But you want to talk shit about my books. You want to talk like you want to starve, be an author. You want to get into the man, start a podcast, especially a red pill podcast. Like seriously, start a red pill podcast and see how much money you make overnight. End of the month. Where's my Manosphere bucks? How come Stripe's not paying me? Or this shit, believe heterosexual women are biologically hardwired to be attracted to more aggressive dominant men. They are. But you can't have that conversation because if you do, you're a misogynist. You're not even allowed to talk about those things. You're not allowed to have that debate. At least in the manosphere, we have that debate. At least in the manosphere, we have, you want to say, if you want to challenge me, you want to do a debate topic, and let's just say, let's pick one here. Consider misandry to be very widespread. That's kind of ambiguous. I could probably make that case, but let's find one that's specific here. Oh, here we go. Believe if a man goes on a date with a woman and pays for dinner and drinks, it is fair for him to expect sex. Okay, I would take the opposite. I don't think it's fair. I don't think you should be expecting anything. Likewise, I don't think a woman should be expecting a particular kind of guy to ask them. I mean, here's the thing, ladies, if a guy asks you on a date and he's paying for a date, he's not doing it because he just wants to feed you. Here, honey. Like the idea is that there's a possibility that you might find him attractive enough to, at a later date, somewhere down the line, maybe you want to sleep with him. Maybe you want to form more of a relationship with him. It's not because he's just trying, hey, why don't we just go get dinner? I'm hungry. You're hungry. Okay, let's go. But you can't have that conversation. See aggression as a positive trait. Well, when a girl gets like elbowed or punched or whatever on a Manhattan sidewalk or a subway or something like that, guess what? Aggression is what is expected of guys to defend that woman. Where are the real men? How come nobody stood up for her? Remember that one chick who got stabbed in the neck by that one dude who was like on the subway, and everybody was up in arms. She died. I think she was Ukrainian. And the chick ended up bleeding out because of that. You know what the first thing anybody says? Well, where are the men? Their video, or they had, I guess maybe it was closed circuit TV. Where are the men to defend her? What? Gender is a social construct. Why? Where are the women to defend her? Well, of course, because we expect men to do that. We expect men to be the defenders. We expect them to have a certain level of aggression. So you're going to say I'm a misogynist for saying that, for saying that aggression is a positive trait? I can argue in many different ways. Hell, I think even my opponents can argue in many different ways that aggression is a positive trait. Absolutely it is, but that's what scares you. Believe it is wrong for a woman to have lots of sexual partners, but don't say the same of men. What if I do say the same of men? Are we now even? What if I say this, that's it. What if I acknowledge this? I say, that's a double standard. But you know what else is a double standard? That I have to sign up for selective services in the United States if I want aspects of U.S. citizenship because I have a penis and not a vagina. It's been that way for a long time. One thing is and Myron dropped the ball on this. I really wish he would have been a little bit more educated in this. And Myron, if you're watching, this is the part you probably should have said, because I know he brought this up with Louis Theroux, and it might have been in his, when he was talking, and it might have been part of his like sort of secret videoed part of this, but he was talking about selective services. What you really need to get at when it comes to the selective services argument is this, is that if you are an immigrant, for example, and you want to come into this country and you want to be a citizen of the United States, if you are 18 years old and you are male, you have to, by default, sign up for selective services. If you can't, you cannot be a citizen. Literally, that is how it works. You cannot hold public office. You can, in some cases, you can't. In some states, if you don't sign up for selective services, you cannot get, well, you can't get government jobs for sure. In some states, you cannot vote especially if you're an immigrant, right? And you cannot get a driver's license, depending on state. Like it's a by state thing. There's like federal wide, and then there's state by state. And literally those rights and privileges that women have as a default because they are female, men do not have unless they are willing to sign up. Well, now they have to by default, but if they if they try to avoid selective services, they don't get to, they are restricted from the same things that women would. So essentially, women have more rights than men in the United States if they don't sign up for selective services by risking their, potentially risking their lives in a state of war. That's what needs to be said. It is literally the last government-sponsored form of sexism that is there. And until women have to sign up for selective services, until women bear the same they don't have skin in the game, and unless they bear the same kind of sacrifice or the same potential for that, you don't win that argument. It is state-sponsored sexism, and there's no way to debate that. Well, we need to change that. Are you marching on Washington to change that? How come there's not women just raising bloody hell in the, out in front of the Lincoln Memorial? We want to be drafted. Nobody's doing that. No woman's going to do that. Of course not. They're going to do that. They're going to want to risk their lives. They're not even trying to turn it the other way. It's like they're not trying to be eligible for that. They aren't even trying to like eliminate it. Oh, we need to eliminate selective services. Like you could follow this two ways. You could say, well, women need to be eligible for selective services. That ain't never going to happen. Or we should just abolish selective services altogether. You would think that would be the more logical thing for women to sort of protest and like lobby against. I haven't. Have you heard anything about this? No. Because it's a form of state-sponsored sexism that women are okay with. And certainly tradcons are very much okay with it, because anytime, and it's cropped up since I remember talking about this in the Pat Campbell days, where there was it was in certain bills that it ended up getting thrown out of the bills, but like there were certain bills where they were discussing, at least on the House floor, that women should sign up for selective services or should be eligible for the draft. And it was conservative lawmakers that took it out, because they think, well, are we at the point right now where men are so weak that we need women to sign up for the draft? And so they turned it around, try to make it like a man problem, like a male problem. Like, well, if men weren't so weak, we wouldn't need to have to draft women. Like, it makes no sense, but that was the rationale for it. Of course, what are conservative lawmakers doing? Once again, turning the onus of sacrifice back on men. It is conservatives that are bigger feminists than liberal feminists. They all end up at the same train station. Female empowerment, female survivability in this case. And female empowerment is living. Men dying and women living. That's your empowerment, right? Ridiculous. Yeah, but it is. Selective service is the last. It's probably not the last. Certainly the most obvious form of state-sponsored sexism. So if you're going to tell me where to go, if you're going to tell me, believe it's wrong for a woman to have lots of sexual partners and say the same of men. Well, how about if I said it's wrong for only men to go to war and not women? That's a double standard. That's a double standard. That's worse than that because I could die and she doesn't. Still waiting for that argument to show up. Believe the majority of heterosexual women only want to date the most physically attractive 20% of men. Okay, so this is a bastardization and a complete, like, once again, it's distorting the 80-20 rule. I've talked about this a million times, but they don't even have the conversation. If I say, yes, I believe that, then I'm a misogynist. Can we talk about how I come to that conclusion? No. You're a misogynist. That's it. That's all. The end of conversation. You're just like Andrew Tate. Like I said, Andrew Tate is an idea, this lofty, stupid, like extreme ideal, just like Dan Bilzerian, that is unrealizable by, like I said, 99% of men. But everyone seems to think that the manosphere is trying to push men into that fantasy. While in the meantime, traditional conservatives think that they could push men into this fantasy of living on Yellowstone and having a nice trad wife, churning butter, and still they have a problem with that. Women have a big problem with that. Let's see. Yeah, I think so too. Myron gives such many fantastic red pill materials. Yeah, well, because that's what gets eyes on the screen. You know what doesn't? If I talk about the alpha widow phenomenon, if I talk about war brides, which is backed up by science, by the way, I can't bring those up without sounding like I'm a misogynist in some way. I'm trying to channel my inner Jake Monroe right now. It's like Jake has this delivery where he's just like something just occurred to him. I can't do that because it's not just occurring to me. I've already thought about this stuff. That's true, man. It's very true. Guys, I've been watching Marshalls, which is like a spinoff from Yellowstone. It's no Yellowstone. It's okay. That's all right. It's kind of mental popcornish kind of stuff. It's okay. I started watching that. Was it Madison or something like that? That's not, I know it's not, it's Taylor Sheridan, but it's kind of like chick therapy speak Taylor Sheridan. I was hoping Kurt Russell was going to be in it a little bit more. I've been watching Monarch Legacy of Monsters. I assume at some point there's going to be monsters in Legacy of Monsters. It's like this soap opera. Oh, and there's a monster over here. Like, can we like just get to Godzilla, King Kong, and whatever this aquatic, Monster X is right now? I want to know more about that. Can we just like focus on the monsters in the monster movie instead of the lesbian, like Japanese chick and this love triangle shit? And like, can we like do that maybe? I've been watching Paradise on Hulu. The second season. I just got into the second season. It's not bad. It's it's a disaster scenario. It's almost like Walking Dead, only there's no Walking Dead, right? It's the post-apocalyptic kind of thing. It's no Fallout, put it that way. Fallout is more fun and can I'll watch Fallout till the cows come home. I love that show. Or like, have you seen Silo? Silo is one of those. We're all going to live underground and wait till the radiation goes away. We're going to live generations under the ground in this self-sustaining, isolated mouse utopia and pretend like, and then like it's all of those shows like Silo, I guess maybe to a lesser degree Fallout, but Fallout is not quite the same thing. Paradise definitely has the same thing, but you know what they are? They're all variations on the allegory of the cave by Plato. Yeah, Plato allegory. Was it Plato or Socrates? No, it's Plato. Plato's allegory of the cave, right? It's the one person who literally dares to leave the cave and say, hey guys, there's actually sunlight and we're okay. We can breathe the air out here. Comes back in to tell everybody that, all the bullshit that they're seeing, all the dancing shadows on the cave wall, and all the people who are like, trying to keep everybody entertained, keep the status quo going on. There's actually a world outside. We should all go out there. What they don't tell you is, like, in the actual story, they actually kill the motherfucker who comes back to tell everybody that there's an outside world out there. But they're all variations on the allegory of the cave, which I see. But like, how many different ways can you tell that same story? I'm trying to think what else I've seen lately. I'm trying to. I need filler for Landman because Landman's so good, and I'm waiting for the next season. Yeah. What is this? You watch PBS? Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. All right, guys. What do you got here? Here we go. I tagged you on X. Another headline, Sandberg. Oh, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. I actually have that one on speed dial here, on speed load. They have the Sandberg Foundation, the Lean In Foundation, is going after the Manosphere. I think she might want to reconsider that. I seriously have not found a satisfying answer to what the hell male supremacy is. They won't tell you, because it has to be ambiguous. Like I said, if there is no boogeyman, no one gets paid. Like the fantasy, the Dan Bilzerian, Andrew Tate fantasy has to exist, because if it doesn't, then they can't get 20 million British pounds to brainwash little 5-year-old, 12-year-old boys, right? Same thing with the Lean In Foundation, which I think I loaded this up. Did I load that up? No, I didn't. Hang on one second. I have it right here. I will load this for you really quickly, because I would be remiss if I don't. Let's see, where is it? Yes. Anybody remember this quote? Because I sure do. I've used this since 2014. When looking for a life partner, my advice to women is date all of them. The bad boys, the cool boys, the commitment phobic boys, the crazy boys, but do not marry them. The things that make the bad boys sexy do not make them good husbands. When it comes time to settle down, find someone who wants an equal partner. Someone who thinks women should be smart, opinionated, and ambitious. Someone who values fairness and expects, or even better, wants to do his share in the home. These men exist, and trust me, over time, nothing is sexier. Everybody remember the Sandbergian plan for hypergamy? That sounds very, I don't know, Manospherian to me. If only the Manosphere had, I don't know, written several dozens of essays and done dozens of podcasts about that since that time. Cheryl, if you were really concerned about the Manosphere, one would think that this would factor into that assessment in some way. It kills me, man. It kills me that that's the shit. Like toxic. What is toxic masculinity? I have this. Let me see if I can find it again. I have this one video. Was Richard Reeves. I'm sorry to say. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, hold the door here before we get any further. Hold on. It was this video right here. Where did this go? Oh, no, that's the sound. Is it in videos? No, that's not it. It is in these videos. No. Oh God, these fucking idiots. Yes, I did see the. I have it on tap if you really want to watch it. I have the Myron Gaines's response to the Netflix thing, where he secretly videotaped all of the stuff that was going on. And again, I'll say it's not a bad thing that he did that. I mean, I understand what his plan was, but damage is done, man. I hate to say it, but damage has already been done. Is it in the intro? Oh, wait a minute. Is it this one here? What? No Lisa Sparks yet? I thought for sure we'd already be talking about Lisa Sparks. did I put it? God damn it. Clavicular, already got to that one, didn't I? Richard Reeves on masculinity. No, that's not it. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this was Richard Reeves right here. Okay, that was it. That is in videos, and that is in the intros right here. Okay, this is what it was. I always thought this was interesting.
The term toxic masculinity has a lot of problems with it. But one of the problems with it is if you do like a 2x2 and you've got toxic, non-toxic, masculine and feminine, and then fill in those boxes, people will say, well, not all masculinity is toxic. There's non-toxic masculinity. Well, first of all, being not toxic is not a hugely aspirational goal for many of us. Like, I didn't raise my sons and say, just think, boys, one day you might not be poisonous. Imagine a world where you're not toxic, right? So first of all, horrible framing, non-toxic. But then you say, okay, so what does non-toxic masculinity look like? And people will very often say things like,
what's the point of putting like that backdrop on there if you're just going to show the backdrop?
Well, you know, that's where you're more emotionally vulnerable, you're much more caring, you're nurturing. And then you say, and how is that different to stereotypical femininity, maybe positive femininity? And then they'll say, well, it isn't really. So, okay. So the danger is that non-toxic masculinity is actually just an empty set in that 2x2. And then what you're doing is you're presenting boys and young men with a choice between being toxic and being female. And that's not a choice that many of us want to make. And it has created, I think, this cultural position we're in right now. The really difficult challenge here, and I'm finding it even difficult to talk about now, is how to articulate positive aspects of masculinity.
Yeah, and the reason why, I'll let him continue here, but the reason why you're having a problem with that, Rich, is because you can't say those things. You literally cannot utter those. We can't even ask those questions without risking 5 years in prison in some cases, without the UK police department coming to your home and saying, you tweeted something about this, come down to the station with us. That's the real problem. And guys like Will Costello and the rest of these guys, you contributed to this paranoia, to this state. I'm not saying you did it deliberately. You contributed to this state. People are saying, well, you know, why do I think this way? Why is it that why do I think that incels are this way? Why do I think that masculinity is this way? Why, like when I even raise the question, when I say like, okay, fine, you don't like the way the Manosphere does masculinity, or you think that Aragorn, son of Arathorn, is a better masculine archetype. Okay, well, fine. What's your plan? What is positive masculinity? And he's running into this as well, because if positive masculinity is femininity, how is it any different? What you're saying is what the Manosphere has come to as a conclusion that the Manosphere came to a long time ago. And I even brought up on Dr. Phil's show, which is we only celebrate masculinity when it looks like femininity. When a guy does something that is not stereotypically male and is more stereotypically female, then we bravo. When like I said, when The Rock wears a tutu in The Tooth Fairy, we laugh at it. He's being incongruent, but we do that because he's breaking gender norms. Yeah, okay, well, but he still looks like he's gay. He still looks effeminate. So when masculinity looks like femininity, then it's okay. Men would be more perfected human beings. They're not even a human. You are dehuman. You're something else. You are proto-human. You are you're subhuman if you are male, and you are not striving every day to be more female. That's where he's going with this. He's like hashing out this process that myself and everybody else in the Manosphere who's been in this for any amount of time have already hashed out over the years. And that is, in a gynocentric social order, the only way men can be acceptable, the only way men can be more perfected is to be more like women. And that is why transgenderism is what it is right now, because it is literally men becoming women. That's why it's more acceptable. That's why we want to know why why it's still okay to have men in female sports to play along with this mass neurosis, because we can't even have the conversation. And at some point, like he does bird hands too. At some point along the way, Rich is going to come to the conclusion that this, whatever their definition, their ambiguous, relative, subjective, like emotional definition of what positive masculinity is, or what masculinity at all should be, looks a lot like femininity. So you need to be less aggressive. Like we were just looking at we were looking at the thing about like aggression should ever be a good trait. What does that mean? That means passivity is a better trait than aggressiveness. Well, that all depends on what the situation and the circumstances demand. But if you're going to say you're going to jail for misogyny, if you think that aggression is in any way good, guess what? Every guy is going to be more passive, and they're not going to be the one who defends you when you get elbowed and punched in the face or knifed on a subway in the UK or in Manhattan or in New York or whatever else. And the first thing you're going to complain is, where are all the real men? Guess where all the real men are? They became women because you wanted them to be, because the standard is that to be a better man, to be a human at all, is to be female. That's where he's coming. That's where this is all going.
Without in some way coming across as seeing it as better than, or as elevating it.
Right. And that, my friend, Dr. Richard Reeves, I love you, brother. You're almost there. That is why this is a zero-sum game. Well, we don't have to disempower women to empower men. Yes, we do, because that's how women got empowered in the first place. You know what we did? We disempowered men so that women could be empowered. That was the zero-sum game from, I don't know, since the time of the sexual revolution to where we are right now. If you want to reset that, if you want to have some sort of like balancing of the balances or the pendulum swinging back the other way, guess what? You need to actively disadvantage women to do that, and you're never going to do that. It's never going to happen, not in a gynocentric social order that has seized power. There's only one solution for that, and that is taking back authority by force, by seizing it. Authority is never given, not willingly. Authority is only ever seized. It is only ever taken. That's why this is a zero-sum game. And this is what he's struggling with, because he doesn't want it to be a zero-sum game. Unfortunately, it is. It doesn't have to be bloody. It could be a bloodless zero-sum game, but it's still a zero-sum game.
Let's be specific. It is true that men take more risks than women, on average.
Guess what? You're a misogynist in the UK. Someone arrest this man, because according to u.gov, he just committed a misogyny crime.
Distributions overlap, but men have a higher risk appetite.
Guess what? You're a misogynist now for saying that somebody, there's 10 years. Now you have 5 years for the first one. Here's 10 years for your next offense.
Or a less risk averse, if you want to put it that way. Is that a good or a bad thing about men?
Oh, you asked the question, you tack on another 5 years. Now you're in jail for 15 years for misogyny crimes.
And the answer is yes. It is a good and a bad thing about men.
Oh, yeah. You once again, you said yes. So therefore, that's another 5 years. Now you're in jail for 20 years for misogyny.
It is good when it leads men to take risks to save the lives of others. And that is almost always something that it'll be men doing. It is.
Oh my God, you just committed another misogyny crime. You're going to jail for, wait, hold on. I need this. There.
Misogyny.
You just committed another misogyny crime. Now you're in jail for 30 years and you live in the UK. You better be careful what you say next, brother.
It's good if it means that men are willing to take, say, some risks around business, which leads to success, etc.
Oh my God. That's a promoting misogynist. And do you agree with Andrew Tate? Because that sounds like something that might have come out of Andrew Tate's mouth. Guess what? Now you're in jail for 35 years.
True. It is good if they're willing to sacrifice themselves from others.
Oh, sounds a lot like that would be a tradcon. We have to think of a tradcon misogynist. Guess what? Now you're in jail for 40 years.
It is bad if it means that they blow all their money gambling. or they take crazy risks and end up drowning or dying or ending up taking drugs in a certain way.
Oh, well, God forbid we prevent men from actually like exiting planet Earth. So there you go. Let's give you another 5 just for good measure. 50 years in the hole.
And so is it better to have a more stereotypically female approach to risk or male? And the answer is neither. We need both.
Okay. Now, since we need both, the very fact that you had the conversation in the first place, congratulations. You are now in jail for the rest of your life, because I'm sure 55 years will probably zero you out. So somebody, if you live in the UK, show the authorities this video and get this man arrested, because this is what he wanted. This is where we're at. Now, do I think I'm being facetious? I do not believe that, but that's where we're going with all of this. Every time you want to say Louis Theroux was so great in all of this, if you know Louis Theroux he really brought this to light. Guess what? You're going to jail. You're going to jail for even asking those questions in the UK. That counts as misogyny, according to the rest of this stuff right here. According to all the stuff on, let's look at all the things. Look at all the crimes this man has committed, according to the 12 potential misogyny markers. Let's look at the more detailed ones. Have a negative opinion of women. Those sound kind of negative. They sound pro-man and female negative. Because, of course, the most important one is have a negative opinion of women or have any favorable view of Andrew Tate. Well, a lot of those things kind of sound like maybe something Andrew might have said. And if they weren't close enough, you're going to jail. This is why this shit is important. Who else is talking about it? So over the last, what are we at? Gosh, we're at 3:10. Over the last 3 hours and 10 minutes, have I brought up anything in any way, shape, or form that has said, guys, come to my program and I'm going to make you an alpha male. Come to my program and I'm going to make you a real man, bro. Have I shown you my car? My Camaro. I could go take the camera out because the garage is right there. I could go take it out there and show you the Camaro. Would that turn me into a misogynist all of a sudden? You too can own a 2011 Chevy RS. It's not even an SS. You can own a convertible SS. Boy, will the chicks love you then. I can't even get Ned in here, for crying out loud. I thought for sure Ned would join me today. But no, I haven't. If anything, I think I've given you some pretty well-reasoned, hell, I've even told you that, like, I even just said that a body count is not that as big a deal as people want to build it out to be. Oh my God, you're part of the manosphere. Yeah, I am. I am the manosphere. I am the red pill. I will gladly wear that badge. Sneeko might not. HS Tiki Taki. I don't even think Tiki Taki would call himself red pill or the manosphere. I think it, and by the way, I got a better opinion of HS after the Pierce Morgan thing. I didn't even know who the guy was, other than the fact that he beat the hell out of Zerka that one time when me and Mike were there when that happened, by the way, when Zerka got in that street, literally the street fight with John Zerka. And that was the beginning of the end for John. Yeah. Anyways. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Access Vegas is coming up on Wednesday. My first bag-free episode of Access Vegas. That is on April 1st. There will be no fooling. We are actually going to do the show. There might be some jerking around and we might have some shenanigans going on. But again, it's an alpha bro podcast with like girls with jet screaming hootie queens on it. Big boo. There's a high probability that there will be women there with large breast implants. Highly probable. So just saying, it could be an alpha bro podcast. I'll tell you what, I will drive up and I will drive in my Camaro and I'll do some flexing. So people will take me seriously as a misogynistic alpha bro podcast guy. We do the show. Maybe I'll do that. I'll do that on Instagram on the way in. I'll do a live. I'll do an Instagram live from the Camaro and do that. That'll be funny. But that's coming up on April 1st. Does anybody know what April 2nd is? Dun, dun, dun. No. April 2nd is my birthday. Yes, that is coming up on Thursday. So odds are, and I don't know this for sure because nobody's said jack shit to me. Oh, but you can, you will. Yeah, I will. I will. If I can, I will. Sir Mr. Jason. God Emperor. Here. Anytime you call me the God Emperor, you're going to get power overwhelming. Glad you're feeling better and you're looking good. Yeah, give me a few weeks. I'm fine, but I'll do better. I can't wait to get back to the gym. My bigger disappointment is now it still fucking hurts, man. But Dr. Chan, my surgeon, said I will be able to get back to the gym probably the end of April, beginning of May. So I will go back, and I can't lift anything super. I can't really get back into powerlifting like I ever did that. Because I got to be careful of like stressing too much in my core, but I might be able to flat bench. I might be able to anything that's on like a preacher curl, anything that's on the curl, like on the bench, like a curl bench. I might be able to do that. I'm trying to think of all the things I would be able to sort of avoid my gut with. Clearly ab workout is out of the question. I'll try to do, I guess I could do calves if I did it on the seated calf machine. That might be okay. Trying to think what else I could do that's not going to involve that. I'm getting real creative with my workout ideas, but I can't even go back to Powerhouse until the end of April. But my birthday is coming up on April 2nd. And I think April 1st will be the birthday episode for Access Vegas, although everybody's keeping shit hush hush for me. They're not even telling me who the chicks are yet. And it'll be my first one back since the surgery. And then April 2nd is my birthday. Mike and I are going to go to dinner. He said he wanted to take me to dinner somewhere, and I mentioned it. I can't remember where he wanted to go, but we're going to be doing that. Then middle of May, we have the Reignite meetup in Miami. That will be from the 14th to the 17th. And the 16th is the Babes in Toyland White Party in Miami at Strawberry Moon. It's a hotel slash meetup area. It's got basically a big pool party is what it's going to be. Same place we had it last time, and really fun. Always a good time. If you haven't joined my group Reignite, why not? It's primarily for guys between the ages of like 35 and 65. If you've been zeroed out, it's definitely for you. If you haven't been zeroed out and you just have questions and you just want to be part of a tribe of guys, a group of guys who like to do fun shit, talk and become better and do so through, networking and everything else. I have guest speakers come in. I had James Sexton come in to our Zoom call. We have a Zoom call every Thursday. My Patreon guys are eligible for, if you're a Patreon guy now, you're eligible to come for the Reignite calls as well. Trying to think what else. So that's coming up in May. If you have questions about that, the link is right down below. It's the Reignite link. Just go to the one, it's reignitealpha.com. You can check that out right there. And it is you can talk to Joe Marin. He'll give you the prices. We're going to have a deep sea fishing trip once again on Thursday, the 14th of May. Already booked. I've got 3 guys of a 6-person trip. So there's 3 slots left. So if you are interested in going on the deep sea fishing trip, that is part of our package deal for Reignite for that weekend. So you don't have to be a member to go to the meetup. I think you'll probably want to be a member. And if you are already a member, then you get a special price for the actual meetup itself because you're already a member, right? But you don't have to be. But if you want to get pricing for the fishing trip or the entire weekend, or actually becoming a member, just go to that link, Reignite Alpha, and all of the pricing and everything that is there. It's right there. We're a smaller group. We're not like MOA. And I don't mean it in a bad way. MOA is great, but we're smaller. I think we're at 43 or 45 guys right now. Mike's group is like 300 or 400, right? So that's the difference between ours. April 22nd is slightly better. Who is this? Who are you? Anyways, I might be going to Scottsdale Arizona to meet up with Robert Kiyosaki because his birthday is April 10th, I think. And so April 12th, we're going to do a birthday thing in Scottsdale, me and him. And I don't know who else is going to be a part of this, but he's invited me to go to Scottsdale. It's going to depend on my health. I don't know 100% just yet if we're going to do this. If that's something that happens and we turn it into a meetup or something and you happen to be in the Scottsdale area, I wouldn't mind meeting up with you there too. So if you want to drop by, I'm trying to figure out how I can finagle a Reignite meetup there as well, just sort of like an impromptu one. In Scottsdale. I know I think Jason Hartman's there. I know or Ken McElroy is there. George Gammon sometimes goes there. But I'll be there with Robert Kiyosaki as well. That'll be on April 12th. So that's coming up as well. I think that's it. So watch on April 1st for Access Vegas. We're going to be doing some surprise stuff. Surprise guests. It's my birthday show. If you saw my birthday show last year, you know what I mean by surprises. And then Mystery is going to be in town on April 6th through the 14th, I think, or the 12th. So he's coming around the next time he is here, which I guess would be coming up next week. So the next week, I'm going to see if I can get him and his partner Ablaze. His real name is Eric, but he goes by the name Ablaze. He and I have been talking. I might be doing some one-on-one work with Ablaze as part of Mystery's group. So I might be in addition to Mystery's boot camp that's coming up on the 6th in Las Vegas. So if you're in Vegas or you want to go to the boot camp, you can go talk to the guy you just go look up Mystery on whatever. I don't know what his link is right now. I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank. But if you're a fan of Mystery, I would say just go do a search for it. You'll find it. Go look for his boot camp that's coming up in Las Vegas. He just hit me up a minute ago. Oh, yeah, that's funny. Eric wants to talk to me now. So I'm going to be doing something with Eric and with Mystery next week. So if I can do a one-on-one with him, me and Mike will certainly do an episode with him. But we'll have Mystery in Vegas next week. So that's something else that's coming up that's going to be fun. It's funny. Everybody goes after everybody wants to go after the Manosphere guys, but nobody wants to go out like Mystery is just so easygoing. Nobody ever thinks to go at Mystery. Anyways. That's the deal. You can hear my dogs in the background. Can you? Yes. It's time to feed them. That's their way of saying the show's over. So since the show's over, I will let you guys go. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next week. I will be in the studio next week. Hopefully I'll be feeling better. Thanks for the well wishes. I'm in the clear now. No more surgeries for me. Thank you very much. I just have to recover from this one. Thanks for all your prayers and your well wishes and everything else. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for watching today. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Would you do it again? I need to feel you on top of me.
Misogyny.
It was my first time.
Would you like to know more?
But I was just a kid when we met and went to bed. It was my first time. What'd you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules now in the game. I've got some to go. Let's do the same. Time came by and went over like a matchbox stereo. Time to get my thoughts now. Let go. Down to keep me up all night. But maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know if maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. I could have the best in my life.
Oh, gnarly.
nasty, right? Isn't it nasty?
She was swinging in the bedroom, whole time stopping and stubbing with her head like she's calling you Kelly.
Well, I'm a whore.
Run me up and down like a pony, turning up my song, getting messy, working up and down on your body. Run me up and down like a pony, turning up my song on your body. Baby, we get down to it all night, but maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again, won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know if maybe we can fuck again, then maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again.
The preceding podcast has been a production of The Rational Male. All rights reserved. 2026 registered trademark, and don't steal head stuff.
Have you ever had a dream that you
I feel like I just took a bath in battery acid.
feel like I'm taking crazy pill.
God wants you to have the baby.